Lee Hoyle wakes up in a bathroom, looks in the mirror, and realizes he's somehow become the ridiculously overpowered noble character he made during his middle school Chunibyo phase. Yeah, our boy got isekai'd into his own cringe OC, and he knows exactly how bad that sounds. He checks his identity and sees the name Granville Claudie Arpius Romeo, a high-level clan successor with absurd stats. Meanwhile, the version of him that's still mentally normal takes one look at that status screen and immediately concludes he's cooked. Later, while drinking tea way too calmly for someone in this situation, Hoyle realizes what's happened. He has become a character he created 12 years ago when he was in middle school. Back then, my guy was fully committed to the bit. He spent his days creating dramatic self-insert characters and laughing like a final boss who just unlocked Phase 2. The fact that middle school Hoyle genuinely thought this was the coolest thing ever is doing psychic damage already. Just then, Hoyle traces everything back to a game called History of the Arcana Continent. It was once the biggest VR game in the world and stayed on top until the day its service shut down. But when the game died, reality broke with it. The CEO vanished, giant rifts started appearing, fantasy locations began manifesting in the real world, and monsters poured out everywhere. For a while, everyone thought humanity was finished. Then something even crazier happened. Players became assimilated with their game characters and gained access to all their abilities. Suddenly, people who used to grind raids for fun became real-life heroes. Back then, Hoyle also dreamed about becoming a player. Unfortunately, dreams cost money, and his family definitely did not have that kind of money. His father's business collapsed, the family struggled financially, and the expensive VR equipment became completely impossible to afford. His parents blamed themselves for it, while Hoyle was forced to accept reality and quit Arcana early. Back in the present, that decision comes back to haunt him. If he had known the game world would become reality, he never would have quit so early. The problem is that his old account barely progressed before he stopped playing. Even worse, the character he awakened as isn't his actual game character. It's the dramatic, noble demon hunter he invented during peak puberty. That is an L delivered with style. Granfell himself looks exactly like the kind of character a 14-year-old would spend 6 hours designing. Hoyle remembers pouring way too much effort into him, and unfortunately he remembers the backstory too. Granfell was the heir to a powerful family until demons massacred everyone he cared about. After surviving alone, he devoted his life to revenge and became a demon hunter. Right then, Hoyle's inner self tries to shut the memory down immediately. The entire story sounds like something written by a teenager who just discovered dark fantasy, which is exactly what happened. Meanwhile, Granfell's personality keeps leaking into reality. Hoyle worries he won't even be able to function normally at work anymore. He imagines his boss making a harmless comment about his new appearance. In response, his Granfell instincts immediately picture throwing hot coffee directly into the man's face. Homie really escalated from office small talk to workplace lawsuit in one move. The worst part is that he can't control it. Every time he tries to speak normally, Granfell's noble personality hijacks the conversation and replaces it with aristocratic nonsense. Later, Hoyle watches an interview where other players talk about assimilation. Most people adapted without much trouble, which only makes his situation feel even more cursed. Since normal office life seems impossible now, he starts researching how players make a living. High-ranking players earn ridiculous amounts of money clearing dangerous ruptures, but risking his life for cash doesn't sound appealing. Besides, Granfell immediately declares that material wealth means nothing to him. Bro really has an anti-paycheck passive equipped. Instead, Hoyle decides to look into demon hunters. That's when he notices something strange. The search results are almost empty. There are barely any pages about demon hunters at all. Then he finds a news article reporting that Akshan, the town that served as the center of all demon hunters, has fallen. Every demon hunter there was killed. The realization hits instantly. Demon hunters didn't disappear because nobody wanted the class. They disappeared because the class basically got wiped out. Back then, demon hunters were already unpopular. Their stats were weak, leveling was slow, and most of their progression came from boring quests like delivering bread every day. The fact that an entire class survived on bread delivery quests is honestly wild. Still, they had one major advantage. When it came to fighting demons, no other class could compete. Unfortunately, demons rarely appeared, most players hated the grind, and demon hunters became known as a useless class. As a result, almost nobody stuck with it. Back in the present, Hoyle starts panicking. All the trainers are dead, the progression path is gone, and nobody is left to hand out the quests that demon hunters relied on. While searching forums for answers, he notices players discussing a massive new update. Apparently demons have started appearing everywhere. When he opens the update information, he learns just how bad things have become. Demons can possess people, disrupt minds, and overwhelm even players above level 200. At that moment, a disturbing possibility appears. If every demon hunter died in Akshan, then he might actually be the only one left. Hoyle considers the idea but immediately doubts himself. His knowledge is 10 years out of date. The world has changed, and even elite players are struggling against these new threats. Then his younger self appears in his mind and calls him weak. The kid version of Hoyo starts quoting Granfel's old philosophy back at him. According to him, Granfell never runs from demons and never lets temptation or fear shake his pride. The more he hears it, the more annoyed he becomes. Unfortunately, he is also arguing with the character he personally wrote, so there is no winning this debate. Finally, Hoyo makes up his mind. He stands from his desk and realizes there was never any reason to hesitate. People are dying, demons are spreading, and sitting around overthinking won't change anything. After seeing reports of fresh casualties, he adjusts his tie and prepares to move. The villain arc is not loading. The demon hunter arc is. Then he makes his declaration. He tells the demons to be honored because he personally intends to send every one of them back to hell. Several years after the cataclysm, the world mostly recovered. People adapted, cities came back to life, and players became part of everyday society. But where people gathered, demons found opportunities. Negative emotions became their favorite food, and some demons started treating humans like collectible puppets. Cool, so that's just normal here. Meanwhile, a low-level party gathers outside a rupture at a subway station. Their leader, Nam Kaelman, notices the final member arriving and immediately spots Hoyol walking through the crowd in a perfectly tailored suit. The guy looks less like an adventurer and more like he accidentally wandered out of a corporate board meeting. Even random bystanders stop to stare. Kaelman introduces himself and welcomes him to the team. Hoyol answers normally for once, which honestly counts as character growth. As they approach the rupture, Hoyol finally gets a proper look at how players see the world. Normal civilians walk right through the area without noticing anything strange, while players can see the dungeon entrance and all its information. The rupture is recommended for levels 35 to 40, which sounds great until Hoyol remembers he's only level 55, while most active players average around level 200. My guy loaded into endgame society with a tutorial account. Still, he manages to find a party around his level. The group consists of Kaelman, Han Songwook, Choi Jonghoon, and Seo Jongyeon. After checking the dungeon's destruction rate, Kaelman figures another team already entered ahead of them. He gives everyone 5 minutes to prepare before heading inside. While waiting, Hoyol silently studies the situation. The others coordinate like normal teammates while our boy spends the whole time analyzing everything. Just then, the group enters the rupture. Everyone seems friendly, and Hoyol decides he should probably contribute to the conversation too. He remembers surviving life as the youngest brother with 3 older sisters and convinces himself social interaction should be easy. The fact that his confidence comes from surviving sibling warfare is honestly impressive. Then he opens his mouth. Instead of speaking normally, Granfell takes over and declares that nobody needs to worry because he is here. The party freezes on the spot while Hoyol immediately regrets every life decision that led to this moment. Kaelman awkwardly changes the subject and starts explaining the monsters they'll be fighting. Meanwhile, Hoyol decides the safest strategy is simply never talking again. As they move deeper inside, a notification identifies the area as Knoll's underground storage. Jongyeon points out that there aren't any Knolls around, and Kaelman assumes the earlier party already cleared them out. At first, everything seems fine. Then Hoyol notices something feels off. A pack of Knolls suddenly charges out from the darkness. Kaelman calls out the ambush, and the party immediately rushes into battle. While everyone fights, Hoyol hangs back and studies the group's formation. 1 tanker, 2 melee fighters, and a mage. Pretty standard on paper, but the more he watches, the stranger it looks. The tanker spends most of his time pulling monsters instead of protecting allies, while Songwook ends up doing most of the defensive work, and Jongyeon carries a huge portion of the damage. Hoyol decides it isn't really his problem. Right now, his bigger concern is finding a weapon because his inventory is basically poverty simulator. Most of his anti-demon equipment is expensive, weak, or both. Bro looked at his gear options and got hit with a financial debuff. Just then, he hears an arrow fly past him. He turns and discovers several hidden Knoll archers waiting behind pillars. Kaelman warns the team, and suddenly arrows start raining from every direction. Seongwook struggles to block the barrage while Jeonghoon gets trapped by a massive executioner-type Knoll. He calls for help, but something feels wrong. Kaelman is standing safely in the back. As the others get overwhelmed, their leader barely moves. Nobody notices it yet, but Hoyol definitely does. The situation gets worse when another monster appears behind Jonghoon and prepares to kill him. Seongwook spots it and shouts a warning, but he's too far away to stop it. Then a silver arrow flies across the battlefield. The shot slams directly into the monster and saves Jonghoon at the last second. When everyone looks back, they find Hoyol calmly lowering a cheap wooden bow. Naturally, Granfell immediately follows up with the most aristocratic line imaginable about punishment and untrained beasts. Jonghoon appreciates being saved, but you can practically see the question marks forming above his head. Meanwhile, Hoyol is dying inside. He knows exactly how weird he sounds. The fight continues as more monsters break through the line. Jungyeon starts panicking when a beast charges straight at her position. Hoyeol steps in front of her and tells her to focus on casting the strongest spell she can manage. For once, he keeps the instructions simple. While he holds the line, Jungyeon finishes her spell. A massive wave of fire tears through the corridor and wipes out the charging monsters. After the explosion, everyone checks whether Hoyeol survived. The others are covered in dust and smoke while this man somehow looks ready for a business presentation. Instead of celebrating, Hoyeol immediately starts worrying about recovering his silver arrow. That expensive projectile is getting more concerned than his own safety. Meanwhile, Jonghyun heals Sang-wook's injuries. Then Jong-hoon finally snaps. He storms over to Kailman and demands an explanation. The leader ignored obvious danger, failed to help the team, and practically let everyone walk into a trap. Kailman's response is to start laughing. Not nervous laughing, not awkward laughing, full supervillain DLC laughing. Jung-hoon gets even angrier and starts tearing into him. Then Jung-yeon notices something terrifying. Dark flames are rising from Kailman's body. The friendly leader act disappears instantly. Kyoman starts mocking everyone for struggling and reveals he enjoyed watching them suffer. At that moment, a system notification activates Hoyeol's Demon Hunter ability. His power spikes the moment a demon appears. Hoyeol takes one look at Choman and finally understands what's been bothering him this whole time. Then he points straight at him. Coleman isn't the victim, he's the demon. And judging by that giant demonic presence hanging over him, this fight is about to get a lot worse. The moment Hoyeol points at Kyoman and calls him a demon, everything clicks into place. Unfortunately for the demon, it also activates the Demon Hunter skill Natural Enemy. The demon immediately drops the act and starts mocking everyone for being too slow to figure it out. Meanwhile, Jong-hoon, Jongyeon, and Sungwook are still trying to process the fact that their party leader just turned into the final boss. Then the demon attacks. The party gets dragged into horrifying illusions built from their own fears. Sang-wook suddenly finds himself trapped in a nightmare where his teammates are dying all around him, and a fear debuff immediately kicks in. Back in reality, the demon enjoys every second of it. Watching terrified humans panic is basically his favorite hobby. Before it can do anything else, Hoyeol moves. Our boy bursts forward so fast the demon barely reacts and drives a silver blade straight into Kyoman's armor. Sadly, the armor holds. The demon laughs and points out a pretty obvious problem. If Hoyeol kills him, Kyoman dies too. Meanwhile, Hoyeol is already looking for weak points. Bro heard the villain speech and immediately started checking the hitbox instead. The demon charges with a massive sword swing, but Hoyeol easily slips around it. At the same time, Natural Enemy keeps boosting his combat power just from being near a demon. The gap in strength starts becoming obvious. Hoyeol spots an opening between the armor plates and strikes. This time, the silver blade slips through the gap and lands cleanly. The demon immediately screams. Even after getting stabbed, it keeps ranting about how fake humans are. Apparently getting folded wasn't enough to stop the monologue. Then something strange happens. Black blood starts pouring from Kailman's eyes and nose. The demon suddenly realizes what actually hit it. The blade is silver. For a demon, that is basically emotional damage and physical damage at the same time. A moment later, the demon completely collapses. Hoyeol casually turns around and starts walking away before the fight is even finished. Meanwhile, the demon is having the worst realization of its life. It got beaten by a random human carrying silver equipment, and now its entire villain arc is ending in a subway station. Hoyeol looks down at it and makes things worse. He tells the demon not to talk to him because he doesn't speak to prey. The line goes unbelievably hard. The fact that Hoyeol probably didn't mean for it to sound cool makes it even worse. With the demon defeated, its possession finally breaks. Before disappearing, it starts wondering where everything went wrong. The answer is probably somewhere around the moment it picked a fight with the only demon hunter in the area. Meanwhile, we finally get Kailman's side of the story. Before all this happened, he spent years living in the shadow of his younger brother Nam Taemin. Taemin was successful, respected, and powerful, while Chaelmin constantly got compared to him. Even his own brother told him to stop risking his life in ruptures and join the guild as an analyst instead. Chaelmin laughed it off, but deep down it bothered him. He didn't want to be known as Taemin's useless older brother. Things only got worse when other players started mocking him. People constantly compared the brothers, questioned whether they were even related, and treated Chaelmin like a joke. After hearing that enough times, the cracks started forming. That's when the demon appeared. It offered him exactly what he wanted. It told him to stand back and let it handle everything. Back in the present, Kyoman finally wakes up. He remembers being possessed but can't understand how he's still alive after getting stabbed. The rest of the party immediately rushes over to him. Everyone is relieved to see him breathing, and for once nobody is getting chased by monsters. Then Hoyeol decides to remind everyone he exists. He casually repeats that they never needed to worry because he was there. Bro saved the entire party and immediately clocked back into noble mode. After that, he explains how demons work. Negative emotions make them stronger, so the best thing people can do is stay confident and refuse to feed their fear. At the same time, Hoyol remembers an old demon hunter rule. Demon hunter attacks only affect the demon itself, not the possessed victim, which means Kailmin was never in danger from the stab. More importantly, the demon didn't drop any loot. Hoyol checks the rewards, finds absolutely nothing, and realizes the imp was completely broke. Imagine possessing people for a living and still dropping 0 items. Later, word of the incident spreads online. A forum post describes how an imp appeared inside a knoll rupture and nearly wiped out an entire party before a mysterious player showed up and beat it. Naturally, nobody believes the story. The comments immediately accuse the poster of making everything up. To be fair, a random suit-wearing noble archer appeared and bullied a demon. Does sound fake without context. Elsewhere, Kailmin brings the story to his younger brother Taemin, who now leads a guild. Taemin takes one look at the forum post and refuses to believe any of it. Recruiting a stranger based on an internet story sounds ridiculous. Then Kailmin quietly drops one important detail. The party leader who got possessed was him. And just like that, Taemin nearly spits out his tea. The chapter opens with Taemin completely losing it after hearing about Hoyol. Not because of the demon part, not because of the impossible class, because his brother suddenly wants to quit being a player and become an analyst. Kailmin explains that he's serious this time. After everything that happened in the rupture, he finally realized he doesn't need to spend his life chasing after his younger brother. Instead, he wants to focus on what he's actually good at. And honestly, getting possessed by a demon is one way to discover your career path. He admits that Hoyol helped him see things differently. Rather than forcing himself to keep up with Taemin, he wants to take pride in his own strengths. That immediately makes Taemin curious. The more he thinks about Hoyol, the weirder the guy sounds. He shrugged off a demon's mental attacks, fought using a dagger instead of magic, and entered a rupture that should have been beneath someone with his abilities. Even Taemin can't figure out what class he belongs to. Considering there are thousands of classes in Argana, that's saying something. Meanwhile, Kailmin keeps trying to convince him the story is real. Taemin cuts him off and says he already believes him. After all, Kailmin was there. Then Taemin pulls out a contract. Turns out he already prepared analyst paperwork before Kailmin even finished asking. My guy came to the meeting with recruitment documents already loaded. Taemin reminds him that a lot of Gaon's success came from Kailmin's advice. Boss patterns, strategy analysis, player scouting. He has been helping behind the scenes for years. Then he officially welcomes him as a Gaon analyst. Kailmin gets embarrassed and thanks him. The wholesome moment lasts about 3 seconds before he actually reads the contract and immediately starts sweating. Elsewhere, Hoyol wakes up and checks his status. His level jumped from 55 to 67. The ghost version of Hoyol completely loses his mind over it. One imp gave them 12 levels, and our boy somehow responds by saying the increase is small. That's not confidence anymore, that's a stat-induced personality disorder. While thinking about where to put his points, Hoyol notices another problem. His room is messy. Unfortunately, Granfell notices too. Instead of resting after nearly dying in a rupture, Hoyol immediately starts cleaning the entire apartment. The bed wasn't even that messy, but Granfell apparently treats dust particles like raid bosses. Hours later, the apartment is spotless. Then he starts cooking. Then he starts eating healthy. Then he starts cleaning dishes. The ghost version of Hoyol slowly realizes Granfell's traits aren't limited to combat abilities. His self-discipline, habits, and lifestyle are all leaking into reality too. Normally, Hoyol would have showered, ordered delivery, and collapsed into bed. Instead, he's accidentally becoming a functioning adult. Later, while reviewing Granfell's abilities, Hoyol remembers something important. Granfell wasn't just strong, the guy was talented at basically everything. He could learn magic after seeing it once, was highly intelligent, physically gifted, and ridiculously adaptable. Middle school Hoyol really said, what if my OC had literally every talent and nobody stopped him? That gives Hoyol an idea. Just then he gets a message from Coleman. The message is massive. Kailmin thanks him, recommends him to South Korea's top guild, and even sends over a scouting contract. The ghost Hoyol takes one look at the wall of text and starts questioning life. Meanwhile, Hoyol rejects the offer immediately, not after reading it, not after considering it, just number. Elsewhere, Taemin sees the response and nearly explodes. The strongest guild in the country offered housing, benefits, and an absurd contract package, and Hoyol rejected it in 2 letters. Taemin immediately becomes convinced another guild stole him first. The man starts investigating like somebody kidnapped a 5-star legendary unit from his gacha banner. Kailmin tries explaining that maybe another top guild made a better offer. That only makes Taemin angrier. Soon he's demanding every possible detail about Hoyol. What does he look like? What class is he? Who is he? Coleman struggles for a description before finally landing on the only answer that makes sense. Hoyol looks like a fantasy novel aristocrat. Not just an aristocrat, an extremely fancy aristocrat. Back at home, Hoyle completely ignores the guild drama and starts testing his theory. He pulls up videos of high-level mages and begins studying magic. The more he watches, the clearer everything becomes. Instead of seeing random spell effects, he can actually understand the structure behind them. The foundations, the flow, the formulas. At that moment, he realizes Granfel's talent is real. If he has enough mana, he should be able to reproduce most spells after seeing them. The ghost version of Hoyle immediately starts celebrating. After all, overpowered genius characters are basically the final form of middle school syndrome. Hoyle calls the comment rude, but he doesn't exactly disagree. With that confirmed, he finally starts distributing his stat points. He puts points into stamina and agility, then dumps most of them into mana. Since he still doesn't know the limits of Granfel's talents, he decides to keep his options open. While doing that, a memory suddenly resurfaces. He remembers Granfel's backstory, the sole survivor of a slaughtered family who dedicated his life to hunting demons. For a moment, Hoyle stops joking about how cringe the character is. The more he thinks about it, the more he realizes Granfel's life was genuinely tragic. Then he smiles. After everything that's happened, Granfell isn't just some embarrassing middle school creation anymore. He's part of him now. Before bed, Hoyle spends his last point on luck. The increase is tiny, but he figures doubling his luck from 1 to 2 has to count for something. Maybe he'll even find a coin on the street tomorrow. The next morning immediately proves that wasn't enough luck. The moment he looks into the bathroom mirror, a giant quest window appears. The ghost version of Hoyle instantly recognizes it. This isn't random loot, it's a class quest. And suddenly, things just got a lot more interesting. Hoyle stares at the new quest window and immediately realizes how insane this is. Class quests are incredibly rare. Ever since Arcana became reality, even normal quests became hard to find because there aren't exactly NPCs standing around handing them out anymore. So getting a class quest is a massive deal. The kind of thing that makes the news. He quickly looks up other examples and finds articles about top-ranked players receiving them. Usually, only the strongest players in a class ever get that chance, which leads him to one conclusion. He's the last demon hunter. Honestly, there aren't many other explanations left. Meanwhile, he starts remembering what demon hunter training was actually like. Akshan sounded impressive on paper. In reality, it was basically a medieval torture program disguised as military training. The moment recruits arrived, they were told to climb a 1,000-meter cliff just to attend orientation. One guy immediately asked if the instructor had lost his mind, which was a fair question. Things somehow got worse from there. The quests were nothing but endless hard labor, the living conditions were terrible, and the instructor spent every second screaming at people. The fact that anyone completed this class without rage quitting deserves an achievement. Even the ghost version of Hoyle admits most players would have quit. Hoyle disagrees. According to him, all that suffering was designed to strengthen demon hunters against mental attacks from demons. Unfortunately, that explanation somehow makes the training sound even worse. Back in the present, he finally opens the quest details. The first mission is simple: train your weakened body. Then he checks the requirements: 20 kilometers of running, 1,000 push-ups, 500 pull-ups, 300 burpees. The ghost Hoyle nearly dies on the spot. My guy expected a quest. What he got was a military fitness test designed by a psychopath. Elsewhere, the AAU continues suffering through another normal workday. The organization exists to analyze Arcana updates and help players prepare for whatever nightmare shows up next. Unfortunately, every new update means more work. The employees are already exhausted and praying nothing happens this week. One analyst even starts complaining about Raymond, the mysterious person responsible for uploading update information. Then disaster arrives. A new update appears. The entire office instantly descends into chaos. People start screaming, alarms go off everywhere, and one employee literally decides it's time to submit his resignation. That's a W survival instinct, honestly. Then everyone sees the details. A new rupture has appeared, the Count family's fortress. The monsters range from level 220 all the way to nearly 400. And then they see the boss, Count Ascura, level 430. The room goes silent. The current rank 1 player is only level 403. This thing is stronger than the strongest player on Earth. At that point, even the analysts start talking about assembling entire guilds just for a chance to survive. Unfortunately, that won't help much either. Count Ascura isn't just a vampire, he's also a demon. The department chief takes one look at the numbers and reaches the same conclusion everyone else is avoiding. This rupture is going to break out. Meanwhile, Hoyle learns about the update through the news. Every major guild is refusing to participate. Players online are convinced humanity is finished. Even experts admit the raid looks impossible. The more Hoyle reads, the worse it gets. Demons become stronger through battle experience, constantly inflict status effects, and usually require players to be at least 10 levels higher to fight safely. Which means a level 430 demon is basically nightmare difficulty. Naturally, Hoyle wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Then his class quest updates. The next objective appears: hunt a vampire. Our boy immediately realizes there's only one vampire important enough to count: Count Ascura. Cool. So the quest just skips straight to the final boss. Back at home, Hoyle starts panicking. He's terrified. Anyone would be. He's being told to fight an enemy the entire world considers impossible. But then something strange happens. As Lee Hoyle, he's afraid. As Granfell, he isn't. The fear starts fading as Granfell's mindset pushes forward. A moment later, Hoyle slams his hand onto the desk and calmly declares that these inferior creatures are interfering with his precious time and deserve punishment. The ghost version of Hoyle immediately loses his mind. Because beneath all the noble speeches, there is only one translation. Hoyle fully intends to fight Count Ascura. After getting the quest to hunt a vampire, Hoyle starts planning his next move. Count Ascura is in Russia, but getting there isn't the real problem. The Mage's Tower has portals that can teleport people across the world instantly, which is exactly why every major guild wants a presence in Korea. For a moment, he even considers taking a taxi. Our boy looked at international travel and thought, what if I just drove there? Then he decides it's time to leave. The ghost version of Hoyle immediately starts panicking about the weather. Russia is freezing right now, and Hoyle is about to walk out wearing his usual suit. Just before leaving, Hoyle suddenly stops. The ghost thinks he's finally grabbing a winter jacket. Instead, Hoyle picks up a giant stack of tea bags. Bro remembered tea time before remembering basic survival. Meanwhile, the Mage's Tower is packed. Reporters, guild members, and spectators are all gathered outside because everyone knows the top guilds are preparing for the Count Ascura raid. Soon, Gaon Guild arrives. Nam Taemin walks in carrying his massive hammer while reporters instantly swarm him with questions about the new rupture. When asked if he knows how to kill Count Ascura, Taemin flat out says no. Then he casually explains that his goal isn't saving the world. It's beating the competition and clearing the rupture before anyone else. The manager nearly has a heart attack listening to him answer questions. Just then, another major guild arrives. Shining Guild enters with Guildmaster Lox and his famous party, immediately stealing everyone's attention. Lox quietly assumes Taemin is acting aggressive because Gaon's position among the major guilds has been slipping. Meanwhile, Taemin couldn't care less what anyone thinks. Inside the tower, Taemin reassures his team to focus on taking things one step at a time. Then the manager brings up Hoyle again. Taemin admits he tried contacting him after the first rejection, but the update interrupted everything. The possibility of running into him during the raid is still on his mind. Elsewhere, Hoyle is riding a bus. Instead of preparing for a level 430 demon, he's busy watching his 100th magic tutorial video. After studying enough examples, he finally understands how magic works. First you inspect mana, then interfere with it, then manifest the result. Naturally, he decides to test the theory immediately. A flame suddenly appears in his hand right there on public transportation. Every passenger nearly jumps out of their seat. The bus driver immediately yells at him to stop using skills indoors. Certified NPC behavior from Hoyle. The man unlocked magic and tested it on a bus. Hoyle calmly promises to stop if it's making people uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the ghost version of Hoyle is apologizing to everyone in existence. After checking his status window, Hoyle notices something weird. Even though he successfully cast the spell, the magic skill never appeared in his skill list. That shouldn't be possible. Soon he arrives at the Mage's Tower. The moment he sees the giant portal, another realization hits him. Not only can he understand the magic behind it, but portal magic actually looks easier to replicate than the fire spell he just learned, which is honestly a terrifying thing to think about. Before he can investigate further, a huge Gaon Guild member accidentally slams into him. The impact sends Hoyle straight through the portal. The guild member immediately starts apologizing while Taemin yells at him for making the guild look bad. The manager catches a glimpse of Hoyle and thinks it looked familiar, but the moment passes before he can confirm it. Meanwhile, Gaon's briefing begins. The guild explains that the new rupture is divided into multiple layers. The outer territory contains hundreds of entrances, deeper sections become more dangerous, and Count Ascura waits at the center. Even worse, if the rupture breaks, the entire castle could manifest in the real world. Back in Russia, the area around the rupture is already flooded with reporters, streamers, and players. One streamer named KIDPL is busy filming content while complaining about the cold and showing off the entrances. Then he notices someone casually walking toward a rupture. It's Hoyle. KIDPL grabs him and tries claiming the entrance for himself. Hoyle responds with a single word: move. The streamer instantly freezes. One look at Hoyle's expression and all his confidence evaporates. That's an L delivered at sub-zero temperatures. After getting rid of the interruption, Hoyle finally arrives at the rupture entrance, the territory's outskirts. Recommended level, 240 to 270. Hoyle stares at the numbers and quietly hopes the inside is warmer than Russia. Inside the rupture, other guilds are already fighting for survival. One of them is led by Leonie Bellucci, a top Berserker ranked player who cuts through monsters while dragging her exhausted team through the snow. The deeper they go, the worse everyone's mood gets. Then Leonie notices something that instantly sends her into a rage. The chapter ends with her unleashing a stream of profanity so bad, the narration literally refuses to repeat it. The moment Hoyle enters the rupture, a notification pops up showing the area is already nearly 10% destroyed. Most people would be worried. Hoyle takes one look at the frozen wasteland and calls it a perfect hunting ground. Meanwhile, the ghost version of Hoyle is busy freezing to death. My guy packed enough tea for a week but still forgot winter clothing. Before long, a pack of bloodied wolves appears. The monsters are level 230. Hoyle is only level 67. Normally, that should be a death sentence. Then, natural enemy activates. The moment the skill kicks in, Hoyle immediately decides he can win. He pulls out a silver knife, looks at the wolves, and politely informs them they picked the wrong owner. The confidence is honestly illegal. At the same time, his class quest updates. The hunt has officially begun. Elsewhere, Leonie Bellucci and the Berserker Guild are having a terrible day. They've already killed dozens of bloodied wolves, but the monsters just keep coming. Leonie responds to this problem the only way Leonie knows how, by screaming profanity at everything within hearing distance. As the fight drags on, one of her teammates notices something strange. The wolves aren't afraid. No matter how many die, none of them hesitate or retreat. Then a howl echoes through the mountains. This time it sounds different, not aggressive. Terrified, the entire group immediately realizes something else is hunting the wolves. Naturally, Leonie decides the best course of action is sprinting directly toward whatever caused it. Certified berserker decision-making. Meanwhile, Hoyle continues experimenting with magic. After studying countless videos, he finally understands the process. Inspect mana, interfere with mana, manifest the result. Simple in theory, absolutely ridiculous in practice. Standing on a ridge, he pours mana into an ordinary arrow and activates the final step. Manifest. The next second, a gigantic pillar of fire erupts across the battlefield. The explosion completely erases a group of level 230 wolves in one shot. The survivors immediately panic and run. Boss fight cancelled. A little later, Leonie's group arrives and finds the aftermath. The entire valley looks like it lost an argument with a volcano. At the center of the destruction sits a man in a suit calmly drinking tea. Nobody knows what to say. Leonie stares at the burning landscape. Then she stares at the tea. Then she stares at the suit. Her brain clearly refuses to process all three at the same time. One of her teammates suggests Hoyle might be a streamer. Leonie instantly rejects the idea and upgrades him to stupid bastard instead. Soon they approach him and tell him to leave. After all, from their perspective, he's just some random civilian standing inside a high-level rupture. Hoyle completely ignores them, not because he didn't hear them, he simply keeps drinking tea. Leonie immediately takes that personally. The fact that a stranger ignored her after she spent the entire day fighting monsters is enough to trigger a new villain arc. Before she can grab him, another problem appears. A massive army of bloodied bandits surrounds the entire area. Hundreds of undead enemies rush in from every direction. Leonie immediately orders everyone into formation. The Berserker Guild fights back, but the numbers keep growing. Then things get even worse. Thousands of arrows suddenly appear in the sky. The group looks up and realizes they're completely surrounded. For the first time all chapter, nobody has a good answer. Meanwhile, Hoyle takes another sip of tea. Leonie completely loses it. She points at the incoming army, the arrows, the monsters, and then at Hoyle himself while demanding to know why he's still sitting there. Hoyle finally looks around and gives his professional assessment. Seems doable. Bro looked at an army, an arrow storm, and certain death and rated it medium difficulty. Then he decides to test another theory. While everyone prepares for impact, Hoyle starts manipulating the mana inside his tea. The amount of mana required should be impossible for someone his level. If he's wrong, he'll probably pass out immediately. Still, he pushes forward, because one question keeps bothering him. What if the things he's using aren't skills at all? A moment later, he spills a small amount of tea onto the ground. The earth explodes upward. An enormous stone wall erupts into existence and stretches across the battlefield, completely blocking the incoming arrows. The entire Berserker Guild freezes. Leonie has never seen anything like it. A wall that massive should require some absurdly rare ability. Then Hoyle calmly steps forward and gives the answer. It isn't a skill. What he's using is magic itself. Hoyle's giant stone wall completely reshapes the battlefield, and the entire Berserker Guild just stands there staring at it. Leonie tries to figure out what she's looking at. An alchemist shouldn't be able to do this. A mage shouldn't be able to do this either. Meanwhile, Hoyle casually explains that what he's using isn't a skill. It's magic itself. That answer somehow creates more questions than it solves. The Berserker members immediately start trying to classify him. Alchemist, mage, some hidden class. Nobody has a clue. Meanwhile, Hoyle is busy analyzing his own abilities. As far as he's concerned, this looks closer to mana manipulation than traditional magic. Our boy just dropped a mountain-sized wall and immediately started peer-reviewing himself. Just then, more bloodied bandits attack from the side. The guild snaps back into combat while Hoyle reluctantly realizes tea time will have to wait. Honestly, that sounds like the real tragedy here. Leone immediately orders him to retreat to the backline. Instead, Hoyle calmly walks past her and raises his bow. That catches everyone off guard. A wall-making alchemist suddenly pulling out a bow was not on anyone's bingo card. While the guild fights for survival, one berserker gets seriously injured and another attack comes straight at him. The guy realizes he can't dodge. Then a massive blast of fire tears through the battlefield. One arrow, one shot. An entire section of monsters disappears. The wounded player survives and spends the next few seconds trying to process what just happened. Leone is having the same problem. First the wall, now the fire arrow. She starts trying to identify his class again and somehow ends up even more confused than before. Then another monster sneaks up behind her. Before she can react, a second fire attack deletes it instantly. At that point, Leone gives up. Mage, archer, alchemist. Whatever this guy is, he's breaking the rules. Meanwhile, Hoyle keeps clearing enemies like he's checking items off a grocery list. Before long, the battlefield is secure. The surviving berserker members start searching the area while Leone keeps sneaking glances toward Hoyle. The man is alone inside a high-level rupture, dressed like a noble, carrying tea everywhere, and doesn't look tired at all. Naturally, her curiosity starts winning. Then she remembers he basically saved everyone. Leone reluctantly admits she should probably thank him, right after she finishes being annoyed with him first. As she keeps looking over, another thought slips into her head. The guy is pretty handsome. She immediately tries to shut that thought down. The denial arc is loading. Meanwhile, Hoyle remains completely focused on making tea. When he finally notices her staring, Leone panics. Her brain instantly invents an entire conversation about sharing tea together. Unfortunately, reality has other plans. Hoyle looks at her and calmly says that staring won't get her any tea because he doesn't have any to spare. Leone takes critical damage. The emotional HP bar just vanished. Elsewhere, the world's attention remains locked on the Russian rupture. Reporters explain that the territory's outskirts is only the first of 3 rupture stages, and every major guild is competing to clear it first. Most experts expect Shining Guild or Gaon Guild to win. Nobody is even mentioning Berserker. Back at the command center, the media teams continue monitoring guild progress. Everything looks normal. Then suddenly, an incoming video feed appears. The assistant director freezes. The rupture has turned blue. Someone cleared it. Instant chaos breaks out. Reporters start running through the snow while everyone tries to figure out which guild pulled it off. Most people assume it has to be Gaon or Shining. Then they reach the exit. Standing there is Berserker Guild. The same guild nobody expected to win. The command center immediately loses its mind. Even stranger, the entire group looks way too healthy for a guild that supposedly fought through the hardest rupture. Then they notice something else. A Korean man in a suit is standing with them. Meanwhile, Hoyle adjusts his tie like he didn't just carry the entire run. The reporters rush him first. Questions start flying from every direction about the clear Berserker Guild and what happened inside. Hoyle finally reaches the limit of his patience. He turns toward the nearest reporter and tells him to move. The pressure behind those 2 words is so intense that the reporter immediately apologizes. The poor guy got hit with a verbal fear debuff. After that, Hoyle walks away without another word. On the outside, he looks calm and dignified. Inside, he's screaming, because he's freezing. Back near the exit, reporters shift their attention to Leone and congratulate Berserker Guild for the first clear. Leone refuses every interview. As far as she's concerned, they should be interviewing Hoyle instead. The more she thinks about him carrying the run, ignoring her, stealing the spotlight, and then disappearing, the angrier she gets. Finally, she looks around and realizes he's gone. One of her teammates casually explains that Hoyle already left. Apparently, he said he was going home for a bit. Leone completely breaks. The man entered a high-level rupture, destroyed everything in sight, took the first clear, rejected all interviews, and then went home. Just like that. And honestly, that's the part she finds hardest to believe. Hoyle disappears before anyone can stop him, and Leone completely loses her mind over it. The guy practically carried the entire clear-handed Berserker Guild, a historic achievement, then walked away without even taking credit. Leone keeps yelling that interviews affect guild value and reputation, which honestly makes this whole thing even funnier because Hoyle could not care less. Just then, another rupture turns blue. The crowd immediately realizes someone just secured second clear. A moment later, Gaon Guild steps out looking exhausted after fighting through the outskirts. Taemin takes one look around and realizes they weren't first. That realization hits harder than any monster in the rupture. When he sees Berserker Guild standing there, he immediately asks if they got first clear. Leone doesn't even bother explaining. Meanwhile, reporters start digging into Leone's interview comments, especially after she casually implies Korea has another player stronger than Gaon. Later, back at Gaon's camp, Taemin watches the interview replay while eating ramen. The moment he hears Leone's comments, he gets irritated and starts ranting about it. Bro lost first place and immediately entered competitive gamer mode. The manager eventually points out that Leonie was probably talking about a Korean player she met inside the rupture. That gets Taemin's attention fast. At first he guesses Mythology Guild, but the manager shuts that down immediately. Then both of them start thinking about the same person. Elsewhere, Hoyol finally returns home. The first thing he does is take a hot shower. The ghost version of Hoyol is so happy he practically starts celebrating. After surviving Russia in a suit, warm water becomes a legendary tier reward. For about 5 seconds, Hoyol thinks about taking a nap. Then Grenfell takes over. Instead of resting, this man throws on cleaning gear and starts deep cleaning the apartment. The ghost Hoyol is begging for sleep while Grenfell treats household chores like a sacred questline. Hours later, the apartment is spotless. The dishes are done. The food is homemade. The tea is ready. And somehow, Hoyol feels less sleepy than before. After that, he checks his status window. His level has jumped all the way to 86 after clearing the outskirts. That's 19 levels from a single rupture, and our boy still acts like it's nothing. While reviewing everything, Hoyol realizes how risky the fight really was. Magic lets him use mana more efficiently than skills, but his mana regeneration is terrible. Right now, he's basically running a supercar with a leaking fuel tank. He also realizes Demon Hunter is still a painfully limited class. Most of what carried him wasn't the class itself. It was magic and the people who fought beside him. That thought reminds him of Leonie. Looking back, he admits he could have thanked them properly. The angry Chihuahua energy was hiding a useful ally after all. Then a memory about Grenfell's personality suddenly resurfaces. If someone underestimated him, he proved them wrong. If someone overestimated him, he'd make their expectations reality. The fact that middle school Hoyol wrote this and somehow made it work is honestly ridiculous. Soon, Hoyol focuses on the next target, the Count's territory. He decides he can't keep relying on magic alone and needs to improve his combat skills. Then he remembers the dual dagger fighter from the rupture, Leonie. If he can copy her movements, his close combat abilities should improve dramatically. The ghost Hoyol immediately senses danger. Sure enough, Hoyol opens his class quest: 20 kilometers of running, 1,000 push-ups, 500 pull-ups, 300 burpees. The ghost Hoyol already knows where this is going. Hoyol calmly declares that fundamentals are the most important. Then he announces he'll finish the dishes before training. At this point, sleep has officially become the true final boss. Later that night, Hoyol runs through the city while listening to the radio. Everything seems normal until an emergency broadcast suddenly interrupts. The outskirts are almost fully cleared. More importantly, the Count's territory is somehow already at 60% destruction, despite not even being open yet. The news sends everyone into panic mode. Analysts, guilds, and experts all start scrambling for answers because if the rupture collapses, countless people could die. Even Taemin can't understand how the destruction rate increased so quickly. Meanwhile, Hoyol immediately figures it out. Based on Akshan's records, vampires can distribute their authority through blood. Count Ascura shared that authority with the monsters in the outskirts. When those monsters died, the authority returned to him. Then Ascura redistributed that power to the monsters inside the Count's territory, which means every clear is actually making the next stage stronger. Back home, Hoyol realizes the real danger. If players clear the Count's territory, there's a chance the Count's fortress could collapse immediately afterward. That would be a disaster. Grenfell's noble instincts immediately kick in. As far as he's concerned, Ascura isn't acting like a proper aristocrat at all. An aristocrat doesn't take back what he gives away. With that judgment made, Hoyol decides the Count deserves punishment. The ghost version of Hoyol has a much bigger concern: sleep. Unfortunately, Hoyol's response is simple: he can sleep when he's dead. Meanwhile, a notification appears deep inside the rupture, the Count's territory. Recommended level 350 to 400. 5 hours until breakdown. Things just got a lot worse. Meanwhile, Park Wigging heads to Russia and starts streaming outside the Count's territory rupture. With the destruction progress already at 70% and less than 5 hours before the breakout, every major guild is gathering despite it being almost 4 a.m. The man is absolutely loving the chaos. He explains that unlike the outskirts, which had around 200 ruptures, the Count's territory only has about 30. That means multiple guilds have to share the same rupture, so contribution rewards are about to become a bloodbath. Soon, Keelman meets up with Nam Taemin and confirms the competition is unavoidable. The only matchup they want to avoid is Shining, but Taemin reveals Shining is already dealing with Unified Under Heaven instead. That leaves Berserker entering with Second Son and Bohemian. Fligging immediately points out that plenty of guilds are avoiding Berserker after their first clear performance. Reputation really started carrying weight. Then heavy footsteps echo through the snow. Hisagi Kazuma, the guildmaster of Inazuma, arrives with his team and casually announces they're entering the exact same rupture as Gaon. Taemin instantly gets fired up. Kazuma keeps throwing insults, saying it's easier to fly to Russia than bother opening a Korean branch, and even calls Gaon trash. The two guildmasters end up face to face with their auras exploding around them. Fugang can barely contain himself because he's watching one of the biggest rivalries in the game unfold live. Korea versus Japan was already enough to get every reporter sprinting over. Keelman tries calming Taemin down, reminding him that destroying the rupture matters more than fighting each other. Then reporters start comparing their rankings and hyping the rivalry even harder. That completely changes Keelman's attitude. He tells Taemin they were there first, so they have no reason to back down. Go rip them apart. A second later, Gaon and Inazuma enter the same rupture together. Meanwhile, news spreads across the world as broadcasters cover every major matchup. Shining faces. Unified under heaven in the north, Berserker teams up with Second Son and Bohemian in the south, and all eyes stay locked on Gaon versus Inazuma. The destruction progress soon climbs to 80%, making everyone even more nervous. Time is running out. Elsewhere inside the Count's territory, Lee Hoyle is doing something completely different. Instead of rushing ahead, he's quietly sipping tea from a porcelain cup while sitting on a throne he created with alchemy. After the last rupture, he realized burning through mana was a terrible habit. So he starts experimenting with using alchemy more efficiently, creating simple objects from nearby rocks instead of wasting mana on complicated designs. Then, he discovers something huge. If he restores altered objects back to their original state, the mana cost is almost zero. That's enough for him to develop a new technique, reversal magic. Even his inner Granfell can't help questioning the dramatic name. Bro really unlocked a new skill and immediately started branding it. Just then, Count Askira's level 300 soldiers surround him. Hoyle barely reacts. He calls the Count's authority pathetic before crushing the entire group with overwhelming gravity magic. The survivors don't last much longer. Using reversal magic, he restores the battlefield to its original state, turning the shattered terrain into a deadly attack that wipes out the remaining monsters while barely spending any mana. Elsewhere in the deepest part of the territory, Nam Taemin cuts through Count Askira's soldiers with ease. The problem is that there are barely any enemies. After all that fighting, he's only killed around 10 monsters. A scout reports that Inazuma's side found almost the same number. Both guilds entered from different directions, yet neither has encountered much resistance. Something is clearly off. Then Kazuma casually walks into the same area and starts provoking Taemin again. The two are seconds away from throwing hands when Kaelman contacts Taemin through his earpiece. Kaelman asks where he is. Taemin says he's standing in what looks like a city square. The moment Kaelman hears that, he completely panics. He screams at Taemin to get out immediately. Before anyone can move, the entire square starts shaking. A massive army appears, not ordinary soldiers. Count Askira's level 350 knights. Taemin stares at the charging cavalry and immediately realizes the real battle has only just begun. Taemin and Gaon Guild finally enter the Count's territory, and things immediately go sideways. Instead of ordinary monsters, they're surrounded by level 350 undead knights. Not a few of them either. An entire cavalry force appears from every direction. Taemin instantly realizes how bad this is. Cavalry units are already dangerous, and fighting them on open ground makes everything worse. Even the tankers would get crushed trying to stop a charge like this. Just then, scouts report more enemies approaching from behind. Within seconds, Gaon Guild is completely surrounded. Front, back, left, right. Everywhere they look, armored knights are charging straight at them. That's an L delivered on horseback. Meanwhile, another guild contacts Taemin through comms. Apparently, they got hit by the exact same cavalry ambush and barely survived. Their advice is simple. Retreat immediately and lure the knights into narrow terrain. The problem is that Taemin can't retreat. A knight is already standing right behind him. The enemy even asks where exactly he's planning to run. At that moment, giant magic circles suddenly appear in the sky. Nobody understands what's happening. Then, enormous stone pillars erupt from the ground across the entire battlefield. The cavalry charge instantly falls apart. Horses crash into obstacles, formations break apart, and knights get scattered everywhere. One second, they looked like a raid boss mechanic. The next second, they were stuck in traffic. Taemin stares at the landscape in disbelief. The battlefield is now covered with towering stone pillars, and nobody has any clue who caused it. Then, a familiar figure walks through the dust. Back at Gaon's command center, analysts see the same thing through the live feeds and immediately start freaking out. The moment the dust settles, Taemin finally recognizes him. It's Hoyol. Meanwhile, a streamer named Huigang is running around the rupture trying to chase guild activity for content. After getting distracted by footprints and his own chat, he suddenly notices massive vibrations shaking the area. Naturally, he sprints toward the giant stone pillars because self-preservation is apparently optional for streamers. Back on the battlefield, everyone keeps staring at Hoyol. The man casually reshapes the entire terrain without chanting a spell, without visible equipment, and while wearing dress shoes. At this point, even experienced players stop trying to guess his class. Then, someone notices another problem. The enemy cavalry is still advancing through the gaps between the pillars. For a moment, it looks like the plan failed. Then Taemin realizes what Hoyle actually did. The pillars aren't there to stop the cavalry completely, they're there to slow them down. The narrow paths force the horses into bottlenecks, destroying the momentum that made them dangerous in the first place. Suddenly, the impossible battle becomes manageable. Taemin finally smiles and tells Hoyle he'll thank him later. Then he activates Berserk. With the cavalry trapped between the pillars, Gon Guild launches a full counterattack. Taemin leaps into the air and crashes down on the knights, cutting through enemies and opening the way forward. The rest of the guild follows immediately. Within minutes, the battlefield completely flips in their favor. Elsewhere, Huigang finally arrives and witnesses the entire thing live. His viewers are already losing their minds over Hoyle. Some think he's a mage, others think he's a support class. Nobody has an answer. Meanwhile, Hoyle calmly watches a knight charge straight toward him. Then he casually uses reversal magic. A stone structure collapses onto the knight and crushes it instantly. The stream chat immediately explodes. At this point, the class theories are entering fanfiction territory. While the battle winds down, Hoyle notices another issue. His silver dagger still has durability limits. Since he doesn't want to waste repair costs, he starts experimenting with reversal magic instead. Our boy is standing in the middle of a high-level battlefield and decides it's the perfect time for item durability research. He remembers turning rocks into teacups before restoring them to normal. That gives him an idea. If restoring an object returns it to its original state, then maybe he can restore a damaged weapon too. After testing the theory, he creates a temporary silver awl, uses it, then restores it. The experiment works perfectly. The dagger returns to full durability. The ghost version of Hoyle immediately celebrates because they just unlocked infinite repair fees. Bro found an exploit before finishing the dungeon. Later, Taemin surveys the battlefield after the victory. While everyone gathers loot, Hoyle stands nearby drinking tea like none of this concerns him. The contrast is honestly ridiculous. Taemin watches him for a moment and becomes even more determined to recruit him. After seeing Hoyle fight in person, he refuses to let another guild steal him away. Especially not Inazuma, who also witnessed what happened. Back nearby, Huigang finally gathers enough courage to approach. He runs straight up to Hoyle, introduces himself, and asks for an interview while streaming to nearly 70,000 viewers. Hoyle slowly looks at him. The stream chat immediately starts panicking, because one glance from Granfell feels less like an interview request and more like a noble judging whether a peasant deserves to exist. After saving Gaion and Inazuma, Hoyle becomes the hottest topic in the player community overnight. The problem is that everyone suddenly wants a piece of him. Back at the Russian base camp, hunters, reporters, and guild representatives practically swarm him the moment they get the chance. People start shouting questions about his nationality, his guild, and whether he'd consider joining their side. Our boy just stands there holding tea while the crowd loses its mind. The fact that he's treating a media frenzy like a coffee break is honestly impressive. Just then, Nan Taemin bulldozes his way through the crowd. Covered in blood and still riding the high of battle, he immediately starts firing off questions about Hoyle's name and whether he's really clearing the raid alone. Then he introduces himself properly and offers a handshake while mentioning the recruitment message he sent earlier. Taemin finally remembered basic manners. Character development is beautiful. Unfortunately, Granfell takes one look at the situation and finds the entire thing unacceptable. As far as he's concerned, nobody here has shown the slightest bit of proper etiquette. So instead of shaking hands, he politely refuses all questions and tells everyone to get out of his way before walking off. Meanwhile, Hoyle is dying inside. Rejecting a top guild master in front of half the player community was definitely not part of the plan. Elsewhere, Shining Guild is reviewing footage of Hoyle's performance. Nobody can figure out what he actually is. Camilla thinks they should simply recruit him. Dimitri, on the other hand, is too busy complaining that his date got ruined because everyone keeps talking about Hoyle instead of Shining Guild. Bro really declared war on a guy he has never met because his date schedule got interrupted. The discussion changes when Jessie Heinese finally speaks up. She watches footage of Hoyle manipulating mana and immediately notices something strange. Whatever he's doing resembles magic, but it isn't quite the same thing. For someone as quiet as Jessie to call something interesting, that gets everyone's attention fast. Meanwhile, Berserker Guild is having its own meltdown. Leonie spends the entire time screaming at her guild members for doubting her judgment about Hoyle. The woman is wrapped in a blanket, throwing a full tantrum, and still somehow making valid points. Nobody is having a good day. Elsewhere, Inazuma reaches the exact same conclusion as everyone else. No matter what it takes, they need to recruit Hoyle. Later, news broadcasts start covering the completion of the Count family's territory. Shining Guild claims first place, but the conversation keeps circling back to Hoyle. Experts analyze his actions frame by frame and somehow give him credit for things he never intended. People claim his lack of equipment must be a hidden strategy. In reality, our boy simply couldn't afford any. That might be the funniest misunderstanding in the entire Arcana community. The experts continue. According to them, the giant stone pillars were a masterclass in battlefield control. Then they explain how he generously stepped back afterward so other guilds could shine. Meanwhile, Hoyle watches the broadcast in complete disbelief. He didn't step back out of kindness. He ran out of mana. At least, nobody thinks he's an asshole. That's a win, technically. After that, he finally checks his loot. Among the rewards is a rare cursed necklace known as a devil's item. Normally, these things are terrible investments because removing the curse costs a fortune, and the reward is basically random gacha. But Hoyle remembers something important. One of the demon hunter's exclusive skills, Exorcism Ritual, allows him to use cursed items as offerings and drag demons directly into his consciousness. If he wins inside that mental battle, the reward becomes far more valuable. The risk is possession, but Granfell takes one look at that possibility and basically says, "I'd win." Just then, his phone starts ringing. The caller is Nam Keoman. Hoyle immediately panics, not because of monsters, not because of demons, because he's terrified Granfell might accidentally insult someone again if he answers. Instead of picking up, he decides to send a polite message, specifically a message that hopefully prevents Gaon from suing him. Meanwhile, over at Gon, Taemin is replaying the footage of their encounter and realizing just how informal he sounded. The more he watches it, the worse it gets. By the end, even he admits the whole thing looked less like a proper introduction and more like a farmer's market negotiation. Before he can worry about it further, a violent tremor shakes the entire base. Everyone freezes. Then emergency broadcasts start screaming across every screen. The Count family's fortress has collapsed. The rupture manifests directly into reality. Russia immediately begins evacuations while reports of casualties pour in from every direction. Hundreds of hunters are caught in the disaster before they can even react. Within minutes, governments start discussing border shutdowns and emergency responses. The situation goes from dangerous to catastrophic almost instantly. Meanwhile, a massive demonic fortress rises over the landscape. Elite hunters gather outside the gates and stare at it in silence. Then, another familiar figure appears. Hoyle calmly walks past the front lines while everyone watches in disbelief. The hunters recognize him from television immediately, but that only makes things worse, because he's heading straight toward the fortress alone. At the gate, a giant gargoyle demon blocks the entrance. The creature crouches above the fortress like a living siege weapon, waiting for challengers. Hoyle looks up at it. The gargoyle looks down at him. Then Granfell delivers his professional assessment. What a shitty statue. A moment later, a system notification appears. Lee Hoyle has entered the Count family's fortress. Hoyle enters the Count family's fortress and immediately starts judging the architecture. The giant gargoyle guarding the entrance wakes up, spreads its wings, and prepares to attack. Hoyle looks up at the thing and calls it a shitty statue. Then he takes one look at the fortress itself and starts criticizing that too. Apparently, Count Escura's castle doesn't even come close to the Claudy family's mansion. Granfell is really out here power-scaling real estate. The gargoyle hears enough and gets angry. A moment later, the monster crashes down behind Hoyle with a giant scimitar ready to split him in half. Everyone watching from outside immediately panics. The thing is over 10 meters tall, and from their perspective, some random guy from TV is about to get flattened. Meanwhile, Hoyle doesn't even bother turning around. The gargoyle swings. Hoyle casually points a finger downward. That's it. An overwhelming force slams the monster into the ground and completely destroys it in a single attack. The entire courtyard explodes from the impact, while the gargoyle gets reduced to rubble. One finger, one attack. Gatekeeper deleted. The shockwave travels through the fortress and immediately gets everyone's attention. Taemin, Camilla, and the other guilds hear the explosion and instantly recognize it as the same bizarre magic from Hoyle's previous fights. Then Jessie Heinase suddenly takes off toward the source before anyone can stop her. Lox and the others try yelling after her, but Jessie is already gone. The woman heard mysterious magic and activated seeker missile mode. Back at the entrance, everyone stares at the destroyed gargoyle in disbelief. Hoyle simply clicks his tongue and starts criticizing the statue's craftsmanship. According to Granfell, the material was bad, the texture was bad, the design was bad, and the entire thing was basically decorative garbage. The ghost Hoyle can only watch and wonder why every review sounds like it came from an angry art critic. With the gatekeeper dead, players immediately charge into the fortress. Hoyle notices a new class quest appear. The objective is simple: hunt the vampire. More specifically, make vampires experience the fear of being hunted themselves. The ghost version of Hoyle immediately points out one small problem. Count Ascura is level 430. Hoyle is level 100. Those numbers are not supposed to be friends. Still, Hoyle walks deeper into the fortress without hesitation. Soon he enters a massive banquet hall filled with portraits. At first, everything seems normal. Then the paintings start moving. The vampires inside the portraits begin laughing, staring, and watching everyone who enters. Elsewhere, Taemin and Gaeon Guild arrive at the same hallway and immediately get hit with status abnormalities. Taemin feels like countless eyes are watching him from every direction. Even standing becomes difficult. Fortunately, Kaelman quickly figures out the trick. The portraits are cursed. The guild burns them with magic, removing the effects and allowing everyone to move forward again. After realizing the entire fortress is basically one giant death trap, Taemin finally understands why top guilds avoided the main entrance. Everything inside is trying to curse, weaken, or kill intruders. Meanwhile, Hoyol remains completely unaffected, not because he's resisting the curses, because he's too busy roasting the interior design. The portraits are ugly, the statues are ugly, the hallways are ugly, the layout makes no sense. At one point, Granfell starts criticizing the building's floor plan so aggressively that the ghost Hoyol wonders if he's secretly a real estate agent. Eventually, Hoyol reaches a massive staircase leading to an enormous door. The moment he sees it, Granfell's instincts immediately react. Count Ascura is behind that door. Everything points to it. Just then, a voice suddenly appears above him. Found you. Hoyol looks up and finds Jesse floating upside down directly in front of his face. No warning, no introduction, just upside-down wizard. Jesse excitedly explains that she watched his fight, studied the footage repeatedly, and still can't understand what kind of magic he's using. She's so fascinated that she followed him all the way here just to ask questions. Meanwhile, the ghost Hoyol is having a breakdown. He's desperately conserving mana while Jesse casually floats around like gravity is an optional setting. Jesse keeps leaning closer and closer while asking about his magic. Hoyol responds with a single word: manners. Then he plants a hand on her forehead and physically pushes her back. According to Granfell, basic etiquette comes before magical education. Jesse just stares at him. Nobody has ever responded to her curiosity like this before. Before the conversation can continue, a massive wave of crimson energy erupts from behind the giant doors. The entire fortress shakes. A system message appears. Natural enemy has activated. The doors burst open. Count Ascura finally appears. The vampire lord looks down at Hoyol and Jesse before dismissing them as inferior humans. Even Jesse immediately recognizes how overwhelming his power is. But Hoyol isn't paying attention to the aura. He's paying attention to something else. Ascura called himself a count. Granfell takes one look at him and immediately rejects the title. As far as he's concerned, Ascura is nothing more than a vulgar vampire pretending to be nobility. Then Hoyol reaches into his coat and pulls out the cursed necklace he looted earlier. The devil's item is selected as an offering. Exorcism ritual activates. Ascura stares in confusion. Hoyol raises the necklace and calmly prepares to teach him a lesson. Not for being powerful, not for being dangerous, for pretending to be aristocratic blood. Hoyol activates exorcism ritual and offers the cursed vampire necklace as a sacrifice. His goal isn't to fight Ascura normally. The ritual drags the vampire lord directly into his consciousness, where demon hunters are meant to confront their targets. The ghost Hoyol finally understands the class quest. When Granfell said he was a demon hunter, this is what he meant. Unfortunately, the ghost version of Hoyol is still focused on one tiny detail. Ascura is level 430, our boy is level 100. Those numbers are having a very one-sided conversation. Meanwhile, Ascura completely misunderstands what's happening. He mocks the necklace, calls Hoyol an insect, and starts absorbing the power he previously distributed among his servants. Jesse immediately realizes what's happening and warns everyone. The problem is that Ascura was already absurdly stronger than Hoyol. Now he's actively buffing himself even more. The ghost Hoyol is seconds away from filing a workplace safety complaint. Then the ritual completes. In an instant, Ascura finds himself inside a strange mental world. The vampire lord looks around in confusion while the entire space trembles around him. For the first time since appearing, he's the one who doesn't understand what's going on. Naturally, Ascura decides the solution is violence. He immediately launches a massive attack and tries to destroy both Hoyol and the mental world itself. The attack detonates with enough force to engulf everything nearby. Ascura confidently assumes the fight is already over. Classic villain behavior. Then a voice speaks behind him. Hoyol is completely unharmed. Ascura turns around in disbelief while Hoyol calmly asks a simple question. Is that what I look like to you? The vampire freezes. Hoyol tells him to look carefully and figure out who actually died. When Ascura looks up, he finally understands the situation. Hoyol is sitting comfortably on top of a gigantic severed version of Ascura's own head while looking down at him. Bro got hit with psychological damage before the actual damage arrived. A massive force immediately crashes down on Ascura. The vampire lord screams as he's completely overwhelmed inside the mental world. The attack consumes him, shatters his resistance, and destroys his confidence all at once. For the first time in this entire arc, Count Ascura experiences exactly what the class quest demanded: fear. Back in reality, Ascura completely loses control. The throne room starts shaking as he desperately tries to convince himself everything is a trick. Jessie watches the whole thing with absolute confusion because none of this resembles any magic she's ever seen before. Hoyol calmly points out the obvious. Ascura is afraid. The vampire immediately explodes in rage and unleashes another massive burst of power, but the panic is already there. The boss, who spent the entire fight looking down on humanity, is now falling apart in front of them. When everything finally settles, Ascura is gone. Only ashes remain. The ghost Hoyol is stunned because they just took down a level 430 boss through a class mechanic. That's not a normal victory. That's abusing the rulebook and somehow making it legal. Jessie walks over to inspect the ashes. Then she notices a strange smoking fragment inside them. Being Jessie, she immediately picks it up. Then she immediately eats it. The ghost Hoyol completely loses his mind. Forget the raid, forget the boss, forget the level gap. This woman just found a random smoking object in a pile of monster ashes and decided it looked edible, certified NPC behavior. Right after that, Hoyol receives several system notifications. The counterattack prologue quest is complete. A new class quest called Brewing appears, along with a message telling the last remaining demon hunter to illuminate a world covered by evil. Whatever this class is hiding, it's clearly much bigger than Hoyol expected. Soon, the other guilds finally arrive. Lox, Camilla, and the rest rush into the throne room after noticing all their status abnormalities suddenly vanished. When they see the aftermath, they immediately demand answers and ask whether Jessie defeated Count Ascura. Jessie awkwardly points toward Hoyol. The entire room goes silent. Everyone immediately recognizes the white-haired man standing there. After remembering his lecture about manners, Jessie decides to do things properly this time. She introduces herself, gives her name, and politely asks for his. Granfell carefully evaluates the effort. The manners are still rough, but she showed willingness to improve. Apparently, that's enough to pass inspection. As everyone nervously watches, Hoyol decides she'll receive a reward. For the first time, he gives a proper introduction. His name is Lee Hoyol. The entire world is losing its mind over the mysterious player who helped defeat Count Ascura. News channels are replaying the footage non-stop. Guilds are investigating him. Players are speculating about him. And meanwhile, Hoyol's biggest threat isn't a dungeon boss, it's his family. Back at home, his sister Yunye is casually cooking while watching the news with Arong. Everything is normal until the broadcast reveals the identity of the mysterious player. I am Lee Hoyol. The second those words leave the TV, Yunye freezes. Arong, meanwhile, is absolutely thrilled. Uncle Hoyol is on TV. Cut to Hoyol's apartment. The man who just terrified a level 430 vampire lord is currently wearing pink cleaning gloves and doing housework. The duality of this protagonist remains undefeated. His phone keeps exploding with calls from his sisters. He already knew this was coming. After all, every news station in Korea has basically been screaming his name for the last several days. The mysterious player reveal lasted approximately 5 minutes before becoming the least mysterious thing on Earth. Hoyol thinks about his 3 older sisters. He remembers growing up close to them. Then reality immediately kicks in. His memories reveal 3 feral penguins screaming, fighting, and bullying him non-stop. Apparently, sibling affection in his family comes packaged with emotional damage. Before he can decide whether to answer the phone, bang. B-A-N-G. B-N-G. His apartment door starts shaking. His sisters didn't call anymore. They upgraded to a raid party. The women outside are demanding entry while Hoyol internally begins preparing his final will. Eventually, he opens the door. And there they are, Yunye, Ji-Eun, Yerim, plus little Orang. The moment they walk inside, Granfell takes control. Hoyol straightens his posture, adjusts his tie, then calmly says, "First, calm down, my sisters." The reactions are immediate. Unye finds it adorable. Ji-Eun nearly dies laughing. Yerim looks like she just witnessed a car crash. Meanwhile, every major media outlet continues discussing Lee Hoyol. His appearance, his strength, his identity, his future. The whole player community is obsessed with him now. Over at the Berserker Guild, Leonie watches the coverage and reaches a conclusion. Recruiting Hoyol won't be easy. But they still have one advantage. They owe him loot from the previous battle. And Leonie intends to use that opportunity to build a relationship with him. The man is practically planning a guild recruitment campaign disguised as good manners. Back at Hoyol's apartment, things are somehow even more chaotic. Arong has climbed onto his shoulders. She's putting ribbons and butterfly clips in his silver hair, and Hoyol is allowing all of it with complete aristocratic dignity. At this point, Count Ascura would probably be less traumatized than Hoyol. His sisters continue roasting him relentlessly. His hair, his speech, his noble attitude, everything is fair game. Then they remember something. 10 years ago, Hoyol used to talk about a certain noble demon hunter named Granfell, a silver-haired aristocrat, a legendary figure, a completely fictional character. The room immediately erupts into laughter. The sisters realize something horrifying. The current Granfell personality isn't new. This man has been committed to the bit for a decade. Inside his head, Hoyol's inner self is dying, not physically, spiritually. But underneath all the teasing, there's genuine concern. Yerim eventually asks the important question, is he safe? Players get injured, players die. And Hoyol never answered their calls. They were worried. For a moment, the jokes disappear. The sisters admit they were scared something terrible had happened to him. Hoyol quietly listens, and despite all the chaos, he appreciates it. He apologizes for worrying them, then immediately ruins the emotional moment. Standing dramatically with butterfly clips still attached to his hair, he proudly declares, I, Demon Hunter Granfell Claudi Arpius Romeo, am suited for this job. The emotional recovery lasted exactly 3 seconds, a new record. Eventually, the sisters prepare to leave. Before going, they remind him to call more often, stay safe, and save money. That last piece of advice catches Hoyol off guard. Save money. With what money? Then he suddenly remembers. The Rupture Clear reward. The reward for defeating Count Ascura. His eyes widen. Players receive money based on contribution and dungeon difficulty. Hoyol has been curious about his payout ever since the raid ended. Maybe 10 million won, 20 million, maybe even 100 million if he's lucky. He checks his account. The balance appears. 100,898,71. Silence. Pure silence. Then internal Hoyol completely explodes. 110 billion won, not million, billion. The guy who spent entire chapters stressing over expenses just unlocked a final boss bank account. That's not a clear reward anymore. That's a financial awakening. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Jessie is having her own problems. Camilla keeps asking questions about Hoyol, but Jessie genuinely doesn't know much about him. Instead, she's busy studying Korean etiquette videos. Because one conversation with Granfell apparently convinced her she needs an entire manners training arc. Then, Jessie receives the same notification. The Rupture rewards have arrived. And just like Hoyol, she's about to discover exactly how valuable Count Ascura really was. The chapter ends with 2 completely different reactions. Hoyol is staring at 110 billion won. Jessie is checking her reward. And Granfell is somehow acting unimpressed by enough money to buy entire apartment buildings. The aristocrat roleplay never lobs off. Hoyol finally gets a chance to inspect the rewards from defeating Count Ascura. The first prize is the Vampire Count's Orb, a unique rank item. The problem? It's cursed. Its effects are completely sealed, and the only way to reveal them is purification. Old Hoyol would have been thrilled. A cursed item. A rare ritual offering. A useful tool for his Demon Hunter class. Back then, he'd probably be laughing like a maniac about turning trash into treasure. Current Hoyol is slightly more mature, only slightly, because the moment he checks his inventory, he notices something unexpected. The cursed necklace he sacrificed during the Ascura fight didn't disappear. Instead, it evolved. The cursed necklace has transformed into the Necklace of Noble Promise, a rare item that can activate protective effects during ambushes. The curse has been completely removed. Turns out Granfell accidentally discovered a discount purification service, no appointment required. So now Hoyol has a unique rank cursed orb, a purified rare necklace. 11 billion won. Life is good. Too good, actually. Because that night, he can't sleep. Not because of monsters. Not because of future raids. Not because of fame, because he's rich. The entire night is spent having a financial crisis. Should he buy equipment, save money, invest, tell his family? What if he gets scammed? What if he buys the wrong item? Meanwhile, his Granfell side is lying comfortably in bed watching the meltdown. Eventually, he tells himself, can you think a bit more quietly? The funniest part is that he's arguing with himself. One side is having a panic attack. The other side is acting like a billionaire CEO. Hoyol starts browsing high-level equipment auctions. The prices are horrifying, billions for a single item. Yet he decides not to buy anything. His level jumped from 55 to 34 in only a few days. At this growth rate, anything he buys now could become obsolete almost immediately. For once, the guy who spent 500 won on premium tea is making financially responsible decisions. Character development. The next day, attention shifts to the AAU. Researchers, analysts, and experts are all gathered for one purpose, arguing about Lee Hoyol. Specifically, they're debating the giant pillars he created during the Ascura fight. One group insists it was alchemy, another insists that's impossible. The debate instantly devolves into chaos. Nobody understands what happened. Nobody can explain what happened. Nobody can stop talking about what happened. Lee Hoyol has become academia's newest headache. One exhausted AAU employee sums up the situation perfectly. His family asks about Hoyol. His friends ask about Hoyol. His coworkers ask about Hoyol. He knows absolutely nothing. The entire country is treating AAU employees like customer support for one guy. Then the long-awaited Arcana update arrives. A new region is announced, Yusra Archipelago, the legendary Treasure Island. a mythical location from Arcana's game era that supposedly contains treasures beyond comparison. Alongside it comes another announcement. The Academic Society of Mages is returning. This catches Hoyol's attention immediately. But then the news shows Jessie Heinese entering the Mage's Tower, and Hoyol suddenly learns something important. She's rank 4 globally. His subconscious absolutely loses it. He spent an entire dungeon criticizing the manners of a top 4 player. Meanwhile, Grenfell's response is, the Academic Society of Mages, huh? Bro's priorities are genuinely terrifying. The ranking reveal gets ignored instantly because he found a lore event. After deciding to attend, Hoyol gets ready. Suit, shoes, perfect posture, serious expression. Then, he puts on pink dishwashing gloves, because the dishes come first. The fact that this man treats washed dishes before leaving, with the same seriousness as prepare for a world-changing magic conference, explains literally everything about him. At the Mage's Tower, excitement is everywhere. Mages from across the world have gathered for the Academic Society. One particularly enthusiastic mage named Cleo is practically vibrating with excitement. Then, 2 idiots sprint down a hallway, straight into a wall, full speed. Except the wall isn't actually a wall, it's an illusion. A hidden magical entrance created by the Tower Master. Jessie casually walks through it as if that's completely normal. Everyone else's brains stop functioning. Cleo immediately apologizes for calling the people who crashed into the wall idiots. Jessie gently reminds her not to insult others. Then casually demonstrates a level of magic most advanced mages can't even comprehend. Before entering the meeting hall, Jessie suddenly stops. She asks Cleo to wait. Why? Because she has a feeling someone else is coming. And she's right. Moments later, Lee Hoyol arrives. The entrance is flawless. Teleportation magic erupts. His black suit is immaculate. His hands are in his pockets. His aura screams final boss. Unfortunately, reality intervenes. The building is packed. Wall-to-wall people, crowds everywhere. Hoyol hates every second of it. Then someone recognizes him. A second later, everyone recognizes him. The crowd erupts. Phones appear. Autograph requests begin. Fans start surrounding him from every direction. One particularly aggressive fan grabs his bag and begs for a picture. Big mistake. Massive mistake. Because inside that bag is something precious. Something irreplaceable. Something worth protecting. His expensive brown rice green tea bags, worth 501 each. Not ancient artifacts, not legendary loot. Tea. The guy with 110 billion won just activated boss music over groceries. Hoyol lowers his head, his aura darkens. Then he says, screw off. The fan freezes. The crowd freezes. His subconscious immediately regrets everything. And then something even worse happens. The fans love it. They absolutely love it. Instead of leaving, they become even more obsessed. Now they're cheering because Lee Hoyol insulted someone in person. Celebrity culture has reached critical levels. Desperate to escape, Hoyol notices something strange. A wall. A normal-looking wall. Except it doesn't feel normal. Trusting his instincts, he runs directly at it. The crowd panics. Everyone thinks he's about to slam into solid stone. Instead, he passes straight through. The illusion barrier opens. The hidden VIP corridor appears. Inside, Cleo is exhausted from running around. Hoyol calmly adjusts his jacket, looks at the illusion, and gives it his approval. That's a praiseworthy illusion magic. Of course, that's his first reaction. Not, thank goodness I escaped. Not, that was close. Not, why were those fans insane? Just a professional performance review. Peak Grenfell behavior. Cleo is still trying to figure out who this mysterious guy beside her actually is. The problem. Lee Hoyol isn't on the invitation list. Not anywhere. She checks once, twice, probably 10 more times. Still nothing. Then Hoyol notices her staring, and immediately asks, is there a problem? Poor Cleo almost short-circuits on the spot. Because from her perspective, this man casually saw through the Tower Master's illusion without an invitation. That's basically like watching somebody walk through a max-level dungeon gate because it looked suspicious. When she finally asks how he's even here without an invitation, Hoyol gives his usual response. Right. No explanation. Just, right. The amount of emotional damage this man deals with one-word answers needs to be studied. Eventually, Cleo explains the rule. Anyone capable of seeing through the illusion is allowed to attend. The problem is that nobody has ever done it before, which only makes Hoyol look even more ridiculous. Meanwhile, Hoyol is wondering something completely different. Why is this girl blushing so much? Does she have a fever? Bro is so socially unaware that he can analyze world-class magic but can't read a facial expression. As they continue walking, Hoyol is secretly studying the illusion spell, not admiring it, not appreciating it, reverse engineering it. According to him, once his mana reaches around 1000, he should be able to recreate something similar. Casual future Tower Master activities. Soon they arrive at Crystal Hall, and this place is absurd. a massive crystalline amphitheater filled with mages, floating crystals, and enough magical brainpower to rewrite reality. The official gathering place of magical research, the Academic Society of Mages. Then, we get a quick explanation about Marcelo, the youngest head mage, the future successor of the Mage's Tower, one of the smartest people in Arcana. While everyone else admires him, Jessie Heinese is dying of boredom. She has absolutely no idea what half the lecture means. She only showed up because of a quest. Even her sentient hat is getting annoyed. Imagine being roasted by your own equipment. That's tough. Marcelo then reveals the topic of today's lecture, science. Specifically, combining science and magic. The audience immediately starts murmuring, because for Arcanians, science might as well be alien technology. Magic and science aren't supposed to mix, but Marcelo disagrees. He presents a new concept, fusion, a method that combines scientific principles with magical processes. Then he demonstrates it, a blazing ignition spell created through that fusion. The audience is amazed. Jessie is finally interested. Marcelo looks exhausted but determined. Months of research led him here, and now he wants help refining it. Everyone starts wondering whether this is secretly a quest. Then Marcelo opens the floor for questions, and the entire chapter changes, because Lee Hoyol raises his hand. The moment that hand goes up, danger starts loading. Everyone just doesn't know it yet. Hoyol calmly addresses the head mage, then says, "There are unnecessary parts in your inspection." Bro walked into the Mage Tower's biggest academic conference and immediately submitted bug reports. The entire hall freezes. Thousands of mages stare at him. Somebody even recognizes him as Lee Hoyol. Meanwhile, the senior mages are panicking. Because Marcelo has a reputation, people call him the Mage Tower's Viper. You do not casually challenge him in front of everyone. Marcelo's face darkens. The room gets tense. For 1 second it feels like a boss fight is about to start. Then Marcelo asks the reason, and Hoyol actually explains. According to him, the fusion process creates an estrangement. Science and magic are fundamentally different concepts. When forced together inefficiently, unnecessary steps appear. The scary part. He's right. Not only that, he's experienced the same problem himself when combining skills and magic. Then he proves it, right there, on the spot, using Martello's own ignition technique, a cleaner version, a more efficient version, a version that consumes less mana. Marcelo is stunned. Months of research, months, and this random guy in a suit optimizes it after watching one demonstration. That power gap moment lands hard. The head mage isn't teaching Lee Hoyol anymore. Lee Hoyol is teaching the head mage. Even Hoyol is pleased. His terrifying villain smile appears, which, according to Nam Tae-min, is apparently his happy face. The problem is that his happy face looks like he's planning to overthrow a kingdom. Nobody can tell the difference. Marcelo finally accepts reality. Then he does something nobody expected. He asks Lee Hoyol to join his research. Not as an assistant, not as a student, as a collaborator. A quest window immediately appears. Marcelo's research. The head mage wants to open a higher dimension of magic together with Lee Hoyol, and Hoyol instantly accepts. No hesitation, no discussion, no negotiation, because he already knows this trip was worth it. New magic, new research, new rewards, absolute W. His smile gets even darker. His subconscious is celebrating. Everyone else thinks they're witnessing the birth of a supervillain. Then the chapter shifts to Yusra Archipelago. The legendary treasure island has finally opened. Guilds, explorers, streamers, reporters, NPC factions, everybody is here. Leonie Bellucci is having the time of her life. The woman arrives at one of the most important locations on Earth and immediately starts talking about swimsuits. Her vice master is already questioning every life decision that led here. Then a call comes in, the contact name, Mage Idiot. That's honestly enough information by itself. Guang Chul immediately delivers the news. Lee Hoyol told the head mage that his spell had unnecessary parts. Leonie completely loses it. She starts laughing so hard she can barely breathe, because from the outside, that sounds insane. Then she asks the obvious question. Did Marcelo destroy him? Did he get lectured? Did he get kicked out? Nope. Marcelo admitted he was right, then gave him a quest. Leonie's brain immediately blew screens, because somehow Lee Hoyol keeps doing things that shouldn't be possible. Back at the Mage Tower, Marcello tells Hoyol to write down whatever resources he needs for the research. Anything. Literally anything. The moment Hoyol hears that, his smile returns. That smile. The one that terrifies everybody around him. Because if there's one thing we've learned about Lee Hoyol, give this man access to resources, and he'll immediately start min-maxing reality itself. Back at the Mage's Tower, Marcelo gets summoned by the 5 stars, the highest-ranking mages in the entire organization. They've already heard about his decision to work with an explorer, specifically Lee Hoyol. The council reminds him that the Mage's Tower has always stayed out of explorer affairs. From their perspective, Marcelo just broke a major rule. Marcelo doesn't back down. He argues that Hoyol understands magic perfectly and has already overcome the gap between magic and science. With worldview interference getting worse every day, sitting around doing nothing isn't an option anymore. The elders don't exactly disagree. Instead, they remind him of something else. A mage is responsible for their own decisions. And if this choice goes wrong, the responsibility will belong entirely to him. The meeting ends there. Then Marcello walks outside and immediately drops the professional act. He starts ranting about those boomer bastards and complains that people who refuse to face reality have no right to lecture him about responsibility. Academic villain arc loading. While he's still annoyed, Cleo suddenly appears carrying a huge pile of supplies. Apparently, she's gathering everything Lee Hoyol requested for the research project. The moment Marcello hears that, he grabs the delivery himself, not because he's being nice, because he's curious. Elsewhere, our boy is relaxing in his private library. And by relaxing, I mean reading giant magic books like he's cramming for final exams in another dimension. Soon, Marcello arrives with several rare magical items and stacks of research materials. Most of them focus on mana regeneration. There are unique rank accessories, powerful relics, and high-level equipment that would make most mages lose their minds. Hoyol's subconscious almost does exactly that. The loot is amazing. Then Marcello asks a simple question: do you like them? And Granfell takes over, immediately. Hoyol slams one of the accessories onto the desk and asks if Marcello seriously thought these items were suitable for him. His subconscious nearly has a heart attack. Because he's level 134, those items require levels around 500 to 600. They're completely unusable right now. Meanwhile, Marcello misunderstands everything. Instead of realizing Hoyol can't equip them, he assumes Hoyol already knew about some hidden flaw in the items. Bro accidentally unlocked the pretend you're a genius strategy without even trying. Impressed, Marcello opens a hidden compartment and reveals another item, the hexagram brooch. Unlike the others, this one only requires level 100. It restores mana whenever magic is used, and it's actually usable. The subconscious instantly changes teams. 5 seconds ago, he was panicking. Now he's ready to nominate Marcello for Employee of the Month. Hoyol calmly accepts the brooch. Marcello becomes even more convinced he's dealing with some legendary magical prodigy. The misunderstanding keeps getting worse, and somehow it's helping both of them. After that, the research quest updates. Marcello still needs time to fix the issues in his magic before the project can continue. So for now, Hoyol just has to wait. Marcello thanks him for his patience. Meanwhile, his subconscious is celebrating the brooch like he just won the lottery. Marcello even starts thinking that with Hoyol's help, the Mage's Tower itself might change someday. The expectations are reaching dangerous levels. Later, the story shifts to Yusra Archipelago, and over there, an entirely different kind of chaos is happening. A streamer named Hwigang has parked himself near the portal and is basically running a 24-hour Lee Hoyol waiting room. Thousands of viewers are watching. Most of them are just asking one question: where's Hoyol? The fanbase has become its own ecosystem at this point. Then things get serious. A giant hand suddenly lands on Hwigang's shoulder. The owner is Kinver, a notorious member of Supernova. This isn't some random player. Supernova has a reputation for violence, disappearances, and causing trouble wherever they go, and Kinver is rumored to be one of the worst among them. He asks about Lee Hoyol. Nobody likes where this conversation is heading. After intimidating Hwigang half to death, Kinver leaves a message. Tell Lee Hoyol not to go too far with the clown act, and tell him he'll be watching. Then he walks away, just casually dropping a threat into a live stream. The chat immediately explodes. Some viewers wonder if Hoyol might avoid Yusra because of Supernova. Big mistake. Hwigang completely loses it. He starts banning people left and right for even suggesting Hoyol might be scared. Then the stream evolves into a full-blown Hoyol religion. People are donating money, quoting dreams, declaring their faith, and chanting his name like he's a mythical hero. The fact that a Treasure Island expedition somehow turned into a Lee Hoyol fan convention is genuinely wild. Back in the library, Hoyol hears about Yusra Archipelago and remains completely uninterested. Treasure doesn't matter, fame doesn't matter. The island is full of level 390 to 420 monsters, and he's only level 34. More importantly, there aren't any demons there. At least that's what he thinks. So he decides there's absolutely no reason to go. Case closed. Then the system appears, and immediately ruins that plan. A new class quest pops up. Inspect the 7 deadly sins of Yusra Archipelago. The moment Hoyol sees those words, everything changes. Because the 7 deadly sins aren't ordinary monsters. They're directly connected to demons. His subconscious starts panicking. Oscura nearly killed them. How are they supposed to handle something even worse? But Granfell doesn't hesitate for a second. If evil exists there, then it must be eliminated. That's all there is to it. One quest notification instantly turns a hard no into an immediate departure. Peak demon hunter behavior. Hoyol jumps up and prepares to leave for Yusra right away. His subconscious tries one last argument. The island is tropical. That fancy suit is basically winter clothing. Unfortunately, Granfell has never once cared about weather, or common sense, or survival odds. And just like that, the trip to Usra Archipelago begins. The moment Lee Hoyle arrives at Usra Archipelago, Huigong completely loses it. Bro spent days preaching that Hoyle would show up, and somehow he was actually right. The fans instantly start celebrating while our boy walks onto the island in the exact same heavy black suit, in tropical weather. His subconscious has only one comment: it's hot. The fact that this man dresses the same way in snowstorms and on tropical islands is genuinely wild. Then something changes. The moment Hoyle steps onto the island, he feels a massive evil presence surrounding the entire place. A system warning appears. Natural enemy activates automatically. The evil influence is so overwhelming that even his subconscious realizes this isn't normal demon territory. The island itself might be corrupted. Instead of panicking, Hoyle gets excited. Because if evil is everywhere, then his natural enemy buff is active everywhere too. From his perspective, the entire island just volunteered to become free XP. Meanwhile, deeper in the jungle, Huigong is secretly following him while streaming to nearly 100,000 viewers. Everyone keeps trying to figure out Hoyle's strategy. The funny part is that Hoyle's actual strategy is much simpler. He's looking for the weakest monster he can find. The island's easiest monster is a level 390 golden sand scorpion. Everything else basically screams instant death. Our guy keeps pretending he's searching for a worthy opponent. His subconscious is busy searching for something that won't immediately send him back to the respawn screen. Elsewhere, Huigong promises his viewers that he'll never interfere with Hoyle's journey. Apparently, he's so forgettable that dungeon traps sometimes ignore him. Honestly, that's less a skill and more certified NPC behavior. Just then, Hoyle hears a loud roar coming from deeper in the forest. When he investigates, he finds members of the Second Sun Guild getting absolutely folded by a monster. They're running for their lives while arguing with each other. One guy is screaming for support. The archer is screaming that the monster is too shiny to aim at properly. Then the monster finally appears. An emerald tiger. Level 420. The same monster Hoyle's survival chart basically labeled instant death. Naturally, it's the first thing he encounters. Truck-kun couldn't find this level of bad luck. The guild members finally notice who's standing behind them. Lee Hoyle. They're shocked. Hoyle is shocked too, just for completely different reasons. His subconscious is internally screaming because he wanted a warm-up fight against a scorpion. Instead, he got a boss monster only 10 levels below Count Ascura. Still, running isn't an option. So he starts analyzing the battlefield. The tiger's crystal body reflects sunlight and makes it harder to track. But if it can't move, it can't use any tricks. With that conclusion reached, Hoyle immediately attacks. A massive explosion of flame erupts directly into the tiger's path and stops it cold. The Second Sun members are completely stunned. Then Hoyle decides this is the perfect moment to test Marcelo's new spell. Ignition. One cast. That's all it takes. A gigantic pillar of golden fire erupts and swallows the entire area. The Emerald Tiger never gets a second chance. Power gap moment achieved. Bro used a freshly learned spell once and deleted a level 420 monster. Even Huigong's viewers can't believe what they just saw. Some of them thought Hoyle was an alchemist. Those allegations died instantly. The system starts calculating rewards. Hoyle levels up, and his subconscious becomes Marcelo's biggest fan. The new brooch restored mana. Ignition worked perfectly. Everything is coming up, Hoyle. Meanwhile, the surviving guild members are still staring at the crater. They can't process what happened. As far as they're concerned, a level 420 monster just got one shot. Elsewhere, Second Sun Guildmaster Shrike is having a terrible day. His strategy was to split his forces and collect rewards from multiple routes. Instead, everyone got stuck on the outskirts while rival guilds pushed deeper into the island. Eventually, he admits he got greedy and orders his teams to regroup. Right then, reports start pouring in. One team says their route is basically finished, because Lee Hoyle already passed through it. Then another report arrives. Apparently, Hoyle received a personal quest from head mage Marcelo and is getting his own research lab inside the mage's tower. That finally gets Shrike's attention, because NPCs and players aren't supposed to build relationships that deep. At that moment, he realizes the rumors weren't exaggerated. Lee Hoyle might be far more dangerous than anyone expected. Back with Hoyle, he happily collects the Emerald Tiger's drop, a unique rank ingredient called pure emerald crystal. His subconscious immediately starts planning how to dump the crafting work onto the mage's tower researchers. A true strategist delegates. Then the atmosphere suddenly changes. A chill runs through his body. The evil presence surrounding the island becomes even stronger. The class quest window appears again. Something is wrong. Very wrong. Then the system reveals the truth. Usra Archipelago is being taken over by greed. A destruction progress bar appears, and it starts filling. Across the island, every player sees the same warning. Nobody understands what's happening. Even Shrike is confused because Yusra isn't supposed to function like a normal rupture. But Hoyol immediately identifies the culprit: greed, one of the 7 deadly sins. As the island begins shaking apart, he calmly looks at the warning and lets out a small laugh. Meanwhile, his subconscious has a much more important question. Was it really humanity's greed that woke this thing up? Or was it the guy who got way too excited over a unique rank ingredient 5 minutes ago? The entire island starts shaking as the system finally reveals what's happening. Yusra Archipelago is being taken over by greed. And if the destruction progress reaches 100%, the demon of greed will fully awaken. Hoyol immediately understands the situation. Any demon hunter from Akshan would recognize the warning signs. The good news is that his quest isn't asking him to kill greed. The new objective is to stop its resurrection and protect the island's treasures from corruption. Just then, players start rushing deeper into the island. Word spreads that the Shining Guild already cleared an island and claimed a treasure. The moment everyone hears treasure, all common sense leaves the server. People start sprinting everywhere trying to grab loot before somebody else gets it. Soon the greed gets even worse. Guilds begin fighting each other over routes, rewards, and who reached an area first. Meanwhile, our boy is watching the whole thing happen. And he quickly realizes convincing every player to let go of their greed is impossible. His subconscious starts panicking. What exactly are they supposed to do now? Then Granfell comes up with a solution, a very Granfell solution. I will take all the treasure. The subconscious immediately blue screens, because somehow the plan to stop greed sounds suspiciously greedy. Elsewhere, the Shining Guild is having a much calmer discussion. They've already secured 1 treasure and figured out that every treasure collected increases the destruction progress bar. Dimitri, Camilla, and Guildmaster Locke start discussing recent events, which naturally leads to Lee Hoyol. Dimitri jokes that Jessie gets way too excited whenever she talks about him. Bro is already shipping people during a potential world-ending event. Then Locke decides to stir the pot even harder by bringing up Camilla's failed attempt to rent an entire hotel lounge. That conversation goes exactly as badly as you'd expect. Eventually, the topic shifts. Could they actually beat Lee Hoyol if they fought him? The entire group immediately freezes. Nobody wants that smoke. Locke quickly clarifies that he'd rather stay on Hoyol's good side, especially since Hoyol has never done anything against them. Right then, another treasure gets claimed. The destruction progress jumps again. This time, it's the Unified Under Heaven Guild, and now everyone realizes the situation is accelerating fast. Back in the forest, Hoyol continues moving toward his completely reasonable goal of collecting every treasure on the island. His subconscious spends the entire walk questioning every life choice that led here. Then Hoyol suddenly stops. Someone familiar is standing ahead, the Lionheart Knights, one of the strongest Knight Orders from Arcana. And leading them is Harkon Kingsguard himself, a legendary captain from the old days. Hoyol immediately recognizes him and addresses him by name. The surrounding knights almost explode from the disrespect. Harkon, however, stays calm and asks for his name. When Hoyol introduces himself, even his own subconscious can't handle the amount of noble roleplay happening. My guy sounds like he accidentally wandered in from a historical drama. Harkon studies him carefully, then notices the Mage Tower brooch. Before he can say anything else, disaster strikes. A massive meteor crashes straight into the area. The entire battlefield erupts into chaos. Smoke fills the air. Knights start scrambling, and the gigantic monster emerges from the crater, the Great Turtle of Golden Canines, level 450. The owner of the island itself. Harkon instantly recognizes the threat and orders everyone to spread out. The monster's meteors are devastating. Nobody can even approach it safely. The situation gets worse by the second. Knights are getting overwhelmed. Visibility is terrible. And another meteor is about to land on one of Harkon's men. At that moment, Hoyol steps in. A massive defensive barrier appears and blocks the destruction. The problem is that maintaining it is draining his mana like crazy. Without Marcello's brooch, he'd probably be unconscious already. So the new strategy becomes simple. Survive, conserve mana, and let the Lionheart Knights do as much of the heavy lifting as possible. Gaming shorthand, Bro immediately started looking for a carry after seeing a level 450 raid boss. When the smoke clears, Harkon realizes who saved them. He bows his head and sincerely thanks Hoyol. Then he offers something even better. If Hoyol helps them defeat the island owner, the Lionheart Knights will owe him a personal favor. The subconscious hears exactly one thing: free transportation. While Granfell gives a dignified response worthy of a noble hero, the guy inside is already celebrating because he found a group strong enough to fight the monster for him. And just like that, Lee Hoyol officially joins forces with the Lionheart Knights against the island's level 450 boss. Harkon notices the Mage Tower brooch immediately and gives Hoyol a serious look. Then he thanks him properly for saving the knights and makes a vow on behalf of the entire Lionheart Order. If Hoyol helps them win this battle, they'll never forget the favor. The ghost Hoyol instantly translates that into one thing: free transportation. Bro heard eternal nightly gratitude and immediately thought about bus fare. Meanwhile, Huiging is hiding in the bushes watching everything unfold through his stream. The moment he hears Harkon swear on his heart, he completely loses it. According to him, that's basically the highest honor the Lionheart Knights can offer. The stream chat immediately explodes. Just then, the great turtle of golden canines erupts from the ground again. Harkon wastes no time and orders a full charge. Thousands of Lionheart Knights rush forward while Harkon explains the strategy. The weak point is on top of the turtle's head, so they need to bring the monster down first. Meanwhile, Hoyle stands completely still in the middle of the battlefield watching everything happen. One knight named Enoch starts questioning why Harkon trusts him so much. After all, swearing on one's heart is usually reserved for royalty, not random explorers. The more Enoch watches Hoyle, the more confused he gets. Soon the knights surround the turtle and begin attacking its legs. At first, Hoyle is impressed. Then he starts paying attention to the damage, and immediately realizes something is wrong. The Lionheart Knights aren't weak. They're just terrible for this specific fight. Most of them are melee classes, so only the front line can actually attack while everyone else waits around doing nothing. The turtle is basically getting mugged by a queue system. Then another warning appears. Yusra's destruction progress reaches 50%. Hoyle instantly starts panicking. People are collecting treasures much faster than expected, and at this rate, more players will keep flooding into the island. Things are getting out of control. Before he can think of a solution, the turtle launches a counterattack. Its eye glows green. An earthquake tears through the battlefield. Then magma erupts from the ground beneath the knights. The entire front line descends into chaos as soldiers scramble to avoid falling into molten death. Watching the battlefield, Hoyle suddenly focuses on one word: space. The knights don't have enough room to attack. Then he remembers the floating pathways inside the mage tower, and immediately gets an idea. A moment later, he steps forward and shouts for Harkon. Then he tells him to prepare a charge. The knights turn around in disbelief. Hoyle raises his arm and unleashes a massive surge of mana. Blue magic circles appear across the battlefield. Floating platforms begin forming above the magma. Enoch nearly faints. Harkon recognizes the structure immediately. The stairways from the mage tower. Only somehow, Hoyle is recreating them in the middle of combat. The ghost, Hoyle, meanwhile, is dying. His mana bar is getting absolutely obliterated. Outside, he looks like a final boss. Inside, he's filing for bankruptcy. Still, he tells Harkon to hurry up. The pathway is open. Harkon immediately understands. He leads the knights onto the floating platforms and launches a direct assault on the turtle's weak point. This time, the attack lands. A massive golden slash crashes into the monster's skull. Moments later, the island owner falls. System notifications immediately start flooding Hoyle's vision. The knights voluntarily surrender their contribution shares. Loot gets transferred, experience pours in, levels start flying upward. The ghost Hoyle completely freezes. What? After the battle, Harkon approaches him and explains the significance of the brooch. It was once a gift from the Emperor himself to the Mage Tower. Then Harkon kneels. Not just him. Every Lionheart Knight kneels with him. They swear to continue fighting alongside Lee Hoyle. The contribution rewards spike even higher. And suddenly a glowing treasure appears. The island's treasure. The moment Hoyle sees it, he starts sweating. Taking the treasure should increase Greed's resurrection progress. Not taking it means somebody else will grab it eventually. Either way, things look terrible. Then the destruction bar climbs again. 60%. The ghost Hoyle immediately begins screaming at Granfell not to do anything stupid, which means it's already too late. Granfell calmly reaches out and grabs the treasure. No hesitation, no discussion, nothing. The ghost Hoyle accepts death. Greed is definitely waking up now. Ha ha ha. Then Granfell reveals the logic. To someone born into immense wealth, treasure means nothing. Greed isn't an emotion he possesses, and if greed feeds on desire, then the solution is simple. Take the treasure without feeling any greed at all. The system accepts it. Island treasure obtained. The ghost Hoyle immediately blue screens. That's possible. Elsewhere, someone watches the entire scene from the shadows. Kinver, the same psychopath from Supernova. He's already been murdering players and stealing loot across the island. After seeing Hoyle collect the treasure, he starts laughing. As far as he's concerned, Hoyle can do all the hard work. He'll just steal everything later. Nearby, another Second Son member dies at Kinver's feet while trying to warn his guild. Kinver casually picks up the stolen loot, increases his karma again, and walks away. Looks like Yusra has more than one monster running around. To Granfell Claudi RPS Romeo, wealth never meant much. The man was born into a family that had already reached the top, so treasures and riches barely moved the needle for him. That mindset ends up solving a problem nobody else could. Meanwhile, Huigang's stream completely explodes after watching Hoyle claim the treasure. The chat starts comparing his magic to spells used by the Mage Tower's highest authorities, and the fanbase somehow becomes even more unhinged than before. Hoyle calmly explains the answer. Stopping greed is simple. Take the treasure without feeling any greed. The system immediately accepts the logic and rewards him with the island treasure, Broken Crown. Then he finally examines the reward. It's a tiny broken piece of a crown. That's it. After all that build-up, our boy is completely unimpressed. The treasure was so disappointing it deleted the remaining greed on sight. Just then, a new notification appears. The Lionheart Knights have joined his party. Hoyle checks the list and nearly short-circuits. Harkon is level 600. Jessica is level 430. Enoch is level 400. Meanwhile, he's level 66. For a second, he thinks the system bugged out. Then Harkon reminds him about the promise from earlier. The Knights weren't speaking figuratively, they're actually joining him. The ghost Hoyle immediately starts panicking. He thought, "We'll stand by your side," meant they'd be friendly if they met again. Apparently, it meant, "Here's a continent-level Knight Order." Very different conversation. Harkon explains that Hoyle saved their lives and proved he could take treasure without being consumed by greed. Because of that, the Lionheart Knights will become his sword and shield throughout Yusra Archipelago. The level difference alone is absurd. Bro accidentally unlocked premium bodyguards. Elsewhere, Kinver watches everything from the shadows. At first, he's excited. Between the island monsters and the Lionheart Knights, he figures Hoyle is setting himself up for a perfect assassination opportunity. Soon, Park Hunjun contacts him through radio. He's confused about why the destruction progress didn't increase after Hoyle claimed the treasure. He's also worried about fighting Harkon and the Lionheart Knights. Kinver immediately mocks him for being scared. Then he reveals his plan. He's already prepared Hydra poison at the wharf. Once Hoyle and the Knights board a ship, he'll spread the poison and wipe everyone out at once. While spying through binoculars, Kinver keeps watching Hoyle. Then suddenly, a horrifying vision flashes through his mind. He sees his own head getting sliced clean off. Kinver instantly grabs his neck and starts gasping for air. For the first time in a long while, he's terrified. From his perspective, Hoyle somehow noticed him from an impossible distance and spared his life out of mercy. The reality is much funnier. Back on the beach, Hoyle is staring at a squirrel, a very cute squirrel. Just then, Harkon walks over and asks if he noticed the rat hiding in the trees. Hoyle immediately assumes they're still talking about the squirrel. The misunderstanding gets even worse when Harkon starts glaring into the forest like he's about to execute somebody. The ghost Hoyle becomes genuinely concerned. What did that squirrel do to deserve this level of hatred? Meanwhile, Kinver gets hit with a fear status effect. Harkon's killing intent alone nearly breaks him. At that point, he's done. Mission cancelled. Villain arc refunded. Soon, another warning appears. Yusra's destruction progress reaches 8 out of 10. Only one treasure remains. Hoyle immediately decides they need to move before things get any worse. Harkon doesn't question him for a second. As far as the Knight Captain is concerned, Hoyle already solved the problem nobody else could. Elsewhere, things take a much darker turn. Park Hunjun completely snaps. After hearing Kinver back out, he loses his mind over the money he invested into the operation. The man borrowed money, bought Hydra poison, and bet everything on this plan succeeding. Now he's convinced everyone is trying to steal from him. His guildmates try calming him down. It doesn't work. Not even a little. Park starts screaming that everyone betrayed him. Then he accuses his own teammates of secretly working with Kinver. Nobody can even follow his logic anymore. Before anyone can stop him, he attacks. The argument turns into slaughter. One guild member falls, then another. Then another. By the time it's over, Park is standing among the corpses of his own team. System messages keep rewarding him with stolen loot while he convinces himself he's the victim. Hidden nearby, Hwigang witnesses the entire massacre through his stream. He's so terrified he barely dares breathe. The chat is freaking out right alongside him. Then Park's body erupts with demonic energy. A gigantic horned phantom manifests behind him and roars into the sky. The transformation is complete. Back on the beach, Hoyle suddenly feels it. The same warning he sensed when he first arrived on Yusra. Only this time it's far stronger. His instincts as a demon hunter immediately recognize the feeling. A demon is nearby, and it has finally revealed itself. Hwigang is running for his life through the forest after witnessing Park Hyunjun slaughter his own teammates. The guy is completely losing it while screaming about murder, and honestly, fair enough. Watching a guild member turn into a one-man disaster zone will do that. As he runs, he keeps checking his stream chat to see if anyone understands what's happening. The chat is split between people asking questions and people complaining about the camera shaking too much. Priorities, I guess. Hwigang desperately tries to get farther away from Park. The panic finally catches up to him. He trips over a tree root and goes flying face first toward the ground. Luckily, someone catches him before impact. The rescuers turn out to be members of the Explorer Alliance. The moment Hwigang sees their uniforms, he nearly cries from relief. According to the chat, nobody in their right mind would pick a fight with the entire Explorer Alliance. For the first time all chapter, the man can actually breathe. The Alliance members calm him down and tell him to rest. Meanwhile, Huiging is internally celebrating because he thinks he just escaped certain death. Elsewhere, broadcasts across the world focus on the final island of Yusra Archipelago. The commentators explain that each island hides a treasure, and every guild has been racing to claim them through different challenges and bosses. Now only one treasure remains. Naturally, every major guild shows up. Shining arrives first, Gaon shows up right behind them. Inazuma appears as well, still annoyed that Gaon beat them to a previous treasure. Then Berserker and Second Son arrive. Leone immediately starts trying to fight people. Some characters really believe consistency is a personality trait. The commentators start hyping up the final showdown. Everyone wants to know who will claim the last treasure. Then, everything changes. A massive presence suddenly appears. Every guild leader turns around at the same time. Moments later, the answer becomes obvious. The Lionheart Knights have arrived. The entire battlefield freezes. Archon alone is over level 600, and now an entire army of elite knights is marching onto the island. The commentators completely lose their minds. The strongest knights in the Empire weren't supposed to be here at all. Then people notice something even crazier. Someone is leading them. That someone is Li Hoyle. Our boy casually adjusts his tie and walks in front of a level 600 knight order like this is a normal afternoon. Every major guild immediately starts reconsidering their life choices. One player straight up calls it cheating, hard to argue with him. The commentators hype Hoyle up as if he's already won. Meanwhile, inside his head, Hoyle is having a complete meltdown. He expected attention. He did not expect the entire planet staring at him. Hisagi from Inazuma immediately tells his guild one thing: do not make an enemy out of Li Hoyle. After everything they've seen, nobody wants that problem. Even members of Shining openly admit they have no intention of fighting him. The reputation is getting ridiculous. Meanwhile, Hoyle is internally begging everyone to stop looking at him before they discover he's still basically a noob compared to the monsters around him. The confidence is all Granfell. The panic is all Hoyle. Just then, Harkon suddenly shouts a warning. The ground explodes. Massive pillars of lava erupt into the sky as the entire island descends into chaos. Players start retreating while commanders scream orders and demand fire resistance gear immediately. Then, the source of the disaster appears. The island owner, Great Lava Koi, level 420. The giant fish is surrounded by an ocean of lava, making it nearly impossible to approach. Melee fighters can't reach it. Ranged attacks get blocked. Everyone is stuck watching from a distance. Even Harkon admits he has no way to get close enough to fight. The strongest knight on the field is basically being hard countered by geography. Then Hoyle smiles. A very Granfell smile. The kind that instantly makes everyone assume he's already solved the problem. He calmly tells Harkon not to worry because he didn't bring everyone here without a plan. The funniest part. The ghost Hoyle is currently running out of mana and desperately hoping somebody else handles the fish. Still, Granfell raises a hand toward the lava. Magic circles begin forming around him. According to his understanding of magic, lava isn't a skill, it's simply part of nature. And if it's part of nature, then it can be manipulated. A moment later, the impossible happens. The rivers of molten lava rise into the air. The entire battlefield stares in shock as massive streams of magma float above the island under Hoyle's control. Nobody can believe what they're seeing. The broadcasters freeze. The guilds freeze. Even veteran players are speechless. One guy can only ask where the hell Hoyle even came from. Honestly, that's a valid question at this point. Standing beneath floating rivers of lava, Hoyle looks like a fire god descending onto the battlefield. Meanwhile, inside his head, he's screaming for Harkon to hurry up and kill the fish before his mana bar flatlines. Bro is performing divine miracles on a budget. The floating lava finally creates a clear path straight to the Great Lava Koi, and the entire battlefield loses its mind. Even the commentators can barely process what they're seeing. 1 second the boss is untouchable, and the next Hoyle has casually rewritten the terrain. Harkon doesn't waste a second. The moment the path opens, he bursts out laughing and charges forward, ready to do his part. Meanwhile, every guild immediately follows behind because nobody wants to miss contribution points. Gowan's commander Taemin is especially desperate. Since Harkon is involved, winning contribution rankings is basically impossible, so he decides to chase the first hit bonus instead. Then the fish decides to become a problem again. The lava koi suddenly launches itself into the air and starts crashing around the battlefield, turning the entire area back into chaos. Bro really saw the raid mechanics and decided to add Phase 2. Players scrambled to dodge while the commentators realized the fight might drag on much longer than expected. At least, that's what everyone thinks. A moment later, giant stone spikes erupt from the ground and lock the koi in place. The entire battlefield freezes. Nobody even understands what they're looking at anymore. The mages quickly realize what happened. Hoyol didn't just move the lava, he cooled it, changed its properties, turned it into earth, and then shaped it into massive spears. According to them, the amount of mana required for something like that shouldn't even be possible under normal system limits. Then Hoyol simply says one word, Harkon. That is all the Knight Captain needs. Harkon dives from above and delivers a single overwhelming slash that cuts the boss apart instantly. Fight over, raid cleared, fish deleted. Everyone stares at the victory notification in complete silence. The strongest guilds in the world barely got to participate before the boss exploded. That's an L delivered at light speed. Even Shining gives up and leaves. Their leader openly admits that ending with zero contribution despite being the top-ranked guild is embarrassing. Meanwhile, the broadcasters completely lose control of the stream. The final rankings place Lee Hoyol and the Lionheart Knights at the top. Once again, all the cameras focus on Hoyol standing there like none of this is unusual. The reality is very different. Inside his head, our boy is running on fumes and is about 2 seconds away from passing out from mana exhaustion. Soon the island treasure appears before him. Since the previous treasure didn't increase the destruction progress, Hoyol assumes this one should be safe too and reaches out to claim it. Then something feels wrong. The destruction progress doesn't update, nothing happens. Everyone immediately realizes the numbers don't add up. Suddenly, a massive explosion of demonic energy erupts from the mountains. The destruction progress jumps again. Only one slot remains before total completion. Hoyol instantly understands what's happening. The treasure he just took wasn't the problem. Another treasure has already fallen under greed's influence. Elsewhere, Huigang is still hiding behind the Explorer Alliance while trying not to die. Nearby, Park Hyunjun stands among the corpses of his guildmates while corruption pours out of his body. System messages reveal the truth. After murdering players, Park obtained an island treasure along with their loot. That treasure is the source of the disaster. At first, Park tries to resist. He insists he never meant for any of this to happen. Unfortunately, greed has already arrived. The deadly sin manifests before him and openly mocks him. According to Greed, Park wanted everything, so Greed simply helped him get it. Now it's time to collect payment. The situation is about to become fatal when Jessica Bright suddenly appears and cuts through the darkness. The Lionheart Knights have arrived. Huigang nearly cries from happiness. The second he sees Jessica, he already knows who must be coming next. Sure enough, Hoyol appears on the ridge overlooking the battlefield. Then he calmly says the most demon hunter thing possible. It smells like rotten demons. Huigang and the Explorer Alliance immediately lose their minds. The savior has arrived. Jessica quickly reports that Park is still alive and asks for orders. Before Hoyol can respond, a new class quest appears. At the same time, terrifying energy erupts across the entire island. System warnings begin flooding in one after another. The island treasure is being corrupted. Greed's resurrection has officially begun, and Hoyol receives a new objective. Stop the resurrection of Greed before the deadly sin returns completely. The moment the system announces, beginning destruction, the entire island starts falling apart. Massive waves of demonic energy erupt everywhere while giant crimson eyes appear within the chaos. Nobody knows what's happening, but everybody knows it's bad. Then things somehow get worse. A gigantic decaying hand bursts from the ground. Moments later, the islands themselves start moving and merging together into one enormous landmass. The broadcasters completely lose control. 1 second they're covering a treasure hunt, and the next they're commentating the birth of a disaster movie. As the terrain reshapes itself, something massive emerges at the center. A castle. A giant castle made entirely out of gold. Everyone stares in disbelief. Some players immediately start thinking about how much money it's worth, which is probably exactly why Greed is winning. Even Hoyol briefly wonders if the castle itself is another treasure. Then Granfell immediately identifies it. That's not treasure. It's the Castle of Greed, the nest of one of the 7 deadly sins. Meanwhile, Hoyol's internal reaction is much simpler. He does not want to go anywhere near that thing. The aura alone is setting off every survival instinct he has. Then he checks his class quest. To his surprise, he hasn't failed. The objective to stop Greed's resurrection is still active, and the earlier inspection quest is already complete. Just then, Harkon senses something approaching. Moments later, undead soldiers start bursting out of the ground across the battlefield. The situation instantly turns into chaos. Zombie armies, demonic corruption, a giant golden castle. Today's Arcana is having the greatest day of its broadcasting career. Back at AAU headquarters, Yoon Suk-yeom sees the new update details and immediately starts panicking. According to the system, the new enemies are level 500, the boss, level 650. The entire office starts screaming that the island should be locked down immediately. Honestly, they have a point. When Hoyol sees the levels, even he gets nervous. Level 500 mobs are already absurd. A level 650 incarnation of Greed sounds like a final boss that accidentally escaped from the endgame. The class quest updates again. Now they must stop the corruption, defeat the undead soldiers, and destroy the incarnation of greed. Meanwhile, plenty of guilds decide they've seen enough. Shrike from Second Son takes one look at the update and immediately refuses to participate. From his perspective, charging into a level 600 raid is just suicide. Around the battlefield, players begin retreating. The Explorer Alliance evacuates civilians. Lower-level players start running. Everyone wants out. Harkon orders the Lionheart Knights to fall back carefully as well. Then he turns toward Hoyle and suggests staying safe. At that exact moment, Granfell takes over. He calmly asks a question. Is Harkon's oath still valid? The ghost Hoyle immediately starts screaming internally, because what he actually means is, please carry me. Harkon misunderstands everything. He looks into Hoyle's perfectly calm face and becomes convinced this man intends to challenge greed head-on. When Harkon warns him that they might die, Granfell gives the most demon hunter answer possible. Demons exist to be defeated, there is no other option. That line hits Harkon like a truck. The Knight Captain is completely inspired. Meanwhile, the real Hoyle is internally begging for backup. Harkon immediately rallies the entire Lionheart Order. He reminds them of their oath and commands them to clear a path for Hoyle to reach the source of the evil. Thousands of knights charge toward the Golden Castle. The battle officially begins. Watching from the sidelines, Wagang and his chat are losing their minds. Some viewers think Harkon is the hero. Others think Hoyle is the hero. One guy is already arguing over favorites during an apocalypse. Peak livestream behavior. Inside the castle approach, the Lionheart Knights prove exactly why they're legendary. They carve through the undead army and steadily push forward. Hoyle watches the fight and realizes they're performing even better than expected. At the same time, his mana is finally recovering. For once, things are actually looking hopeful. Then the undead pull a nasty surprise. The soldiers they just killed start resurrecting. Hoyle immediately realizes the problem. His mana still isn't high enough to handle this kind of battlefield forever. Just as things start looking rough, a massive blast tears through the undead line. Everyone turns around in shock. New reinforcements have arrived. Gaon Guild and Berserker Guild, the two groups immediately start helping clear the path. Even they know that if greed fully awakens, nobody is going home. The broadcasters can't believe what they're seeing. Two rival guilds are charging into the Golden Palace after Lee Hoyle. Meanwhile, Taemin and the Berserker members are already bickering in the middle of a world-ending crisis. Some people really never turn off their side quests. And that's a wrap, homies. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Drop your thoughts below and hit subscribe for more spicy recaps. Till next time, sayonara.